just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the selection table, powered by Menulog. And boys, before we get into it, what have you selected from the great Menulog? I personally will go first. I've gone Rocket Boy Pizza. I cannot wait to smash this later. She's looking. I've opened it before, and it was looking very, very good. Look at that. Oh yeah, boys. Root, what do you got there, mate?
I've gone for a seasoning Thai. I've got a pad Thai, and then I like my sides. Three Craig wing rolls, boys. Some springies for the boys.
Easy one for me, boys. Darling pizzeria, bit of fettuccine bolognese. Thank you very much.
Mamma mia. Well, I wish I'd selected a chair from Menulog. I've gone with the Ali Dong Ham. I've gone with the Vietnamese slow-cooked pork belly.
Ooh, that sounds good. So we'll be smashing them later, guys. But a massive thank you.
One sec. I've got mine as well.
Oh, apologies.
Yeah, sorry,
all good.
Sorry, Tommy.
Stuck with the Rabbitohs theme, went Redfern kebab. Nice lamb kebab for me today.
Ooh, okay, I like it. So massive thank you to Menulog as always. If you're going to select something, you select a feed on Menulog. Come on, guys, get around it. Alrighty, now it's time for the selection table. It's a yearly show where we sit down, discuss a team, and by the end of it, we're going to pick as a unit. So imagine that we're at the selection table. We're all, for Queensland, we're Darren Lockyer, we're the crew there. We're going through every single player, who we should select, what style of play. At the end of the show, we will come to a consensus on a Queensland side, a New South Wales side, but we will also have later in the night on Instagram our individually selected sides. So we're going to get straight into it. The Blues. Before we do, we're going to get your chair, mate. Daily? Yeah. I think there's a chair around here. Oh, right behind you, mate.
Right there. Oh, fantastic.
It's there the whole time.
How convenient. I wasn't going to be able to commit to that for the full couple of hours.
Well, you're not made of the right stuff like Laurie Daly was. He sat there for much longer than you did.
I'm not going to argue with that.
Alrighty, let's get into it. We're going to do the Blues first. Before we do, though, the great sports bet, as always. They've set something up.
Oh, yes, for Origin. Now, there's a couple of things I want to point to here. So, obviously, the teams haven't been selected yet. They'll be selected on Sunday night.
They're getting selected today, aren't they?
Well, they're being selected today, but officially they come out on Sunday.
Okay.
We've got the Origin anytime try score game one all-in market. So, there's a couple of positions in contention, which we'll obviously get to. But a good example might be New South Wales fullback. So, you've got, at the moment, Dill Edwards $3.25, Tedesco's $8, Ryan Pappenhausen $11. So if you get on now and Pappenhausen gets selected, all of a sudden you've got...
Is that the whole series or just game one?
Just game one.
Okay.
Just game one. So you're basically taking a punt on two things. Do they get selected?
Yep.
Do they score a try? So that market's well worth checking out if you want to put your crystal ball and pick a couple of roughies. And the other one is, and you can't do this for many games through the season, it's basically grand final women's Origin and, of course, the men's Origin as well. You can same game multi, your player of the match, India same game multi. You can't do that everywhere, but you can definitely do it with Sportsbet. So we'll do one of those at the end of the show as well.
Oh yeah, that's juicy. And in regards to the Women's Origin, give us a follow on the feed, because right now we didn't even speak about this.
Great minds
think alike.
Yep.
Great minds think alike. I'd put this on, and then Hammy was like, I did the same thing. In the Women's Origin, I'm going Tamika Upton anytime, Queensland head-to-head, Chapman anytime try scorer. That's getting $11.50.
Yeah, couldn't believe it.
$11.50 for that.
I'll have some of that. And I did. It's on my feed as well.
Boom, there you go. So look, copy the bet from both feeds if you can.
And if you want to, if you're bullish, you can even add your player of the match into that multi as well.
Ooh,
so
very juicy.
Up to you guys.
Very, very juicy. Yeah. Okay. And don't forget, guys, the bloke jerseys are still available. Not many left now. Once these are gone, they are gone. Go to bloke.shop, grab your bloke jersey. You will not be disappointed. Trust me. And at the moment, you're looking at us going, what the hell are you dressed as? I'm Big Bennett. We've got
Hammy Daly,
Guru Gibson,
Timo Gould.
Who changed, funnily enough, was Timmy Stewart yesterday. Now, guys, that wasn't because he forgot about getting a uniform for today. That's not what happened. Timmy's just so committed, he wanted to wear two different uniforms.
I do overcommit to things at times, Campy, and this is one of those great occasions. So I thought I'd do tick both off. Two of my heroes, Ricky Stewart and Origin Gus Gould.
Timmy's giving me a little bit of Meredith off the US office. Anyone else getting that?
Yes, absolutely. So
Origin legend Meredith from the US office.
So you're three people now, and then we've obviously got, who we got over here?
Matty Radonicus.
So let's get into it. The great minds. We're channeling the great coaches of yesteryear and still current coaches.
Meredith.
And Meredith as well. The great minds. Okay, let's get into some Blues chat. We'll start at fullback, boys. Okay, the first question I want to ask you, boys, is what type of rugby league do we want to play? Because I'm going to make this argument. if we want to play similar to Melbourne Storm, and we know Bellyache, he is an advisor of the coaching staff, which is us, he plays a Melbourne Storm type football, which is like quick play the ball, the best support player in the game, which is Pappenhausen. Or do we want to play a game style similar to what Michael Maguire did last year, and that is field position, camp him down there, and yes, we may not have as much attacking weapon at the back there, but we got heaps of runs, heaps of meters, and heaps of field position, and eventually they'll break. What do we want to do, boys? Where are we at? Where are you at?
I'm in the latter.
Okay.
I've gone with Dylan Edwards there. Obviously, he featured last year, did an incredible job there, down 1-0, came back in, and I just think he's got the sort of temperament that I want to have in my side. Pappy would be a fantastic choice if you're looking to play that way, obviously. But I just think combination-wise as well, we'll go through the side as we go, but I've got a few Penrith boys in there, and I think Dylan Edwards, despite not being in the best form right now, I just think Edwards is made for Origin. And I just think it's a bit of I love Pappy, he's in incredible form. I wouldn't push back on you if you said Pappy's in better form than Edwards. I think that's pretty evident. But I just think Edwards is an Origin player, so he gets a nod for me.
What do you reckon, boys?
Yeah, I've got Edwards at fullback too, and that sort of sets the game plan for me. So if you're going for Edwards over someone like Tedesco or Pappenhausen, I think you're playing that high percentage footy, play through the middle, just aim for high completion, and the other selection, which we'll get to a little bit later, maybe something around a long kicking game, but it's just controlling field possession. And then the strike that the Blues have at their disposal in the outside backs, I just want to be in there 20 and complete. Do not give the Maroons a sniff, because if we're in your 20, you won't stop us. We're too good. I think you've got defensive concerns on your edges, both sides, so I think you won't be able to stop us. So I just don't want to give you a sniff. I'm high completion, I'm controlled footy, long kicking game, kick early if need be, and Dylan Edwards at fullback, he sort of sets all that up with that big yardage.
Does that go against the whole picking on form?
Yeah, it probably does. But I think Laurie made a good point when he was pressed on that a little bit. He goes, look, if you're just picking on form, you probably just go to the Dally M, who's leading the Dally M, and copy and paste the team from there. So you do have to go a little bit deeper than that, and obviously combinations and stuff come into it. But that said, I've gone with Pappenhausen as the fullback.
Okay, wow.
As a Queensland fan, I kind of went, what would you like to come up against least? What scares you the most?
Okay.
And I just think Pappenhausen, and maybe I'm a little bit scarred from what happened on the weekend, but I just a game like that, a lot of these games last year, particularly the decider, was very tight. Who's going to be able to bust some of those games open or have big special moments? And I think it's Ryan Pappenhausen at the moment, and he's currently 26 years old. If they go and back him now, he's back to his best footy at the moment. He obviously had a couple of years off with injury, but if you get him in there and you get him in there now, you could get 5, 6, 7 years out of this guy, as your Blues fullback. Now, I know those other guys are great and have put together good CVs, but I don't think Dylan Edwards has been in form that demands that he's a walk-up start. Tedesco's been really good as well, but I wonder whether maybe they've just moved past him. I think they've got a good opportunity to get Pappenhausen in, and that's why I've thrown him in there.
See, the argument with Pappenhausen as well is what's happened to the game last 5 years? It's sped up. And I just wonder, with that speed around the ruck, could that be the difference? Could that be the difference where it's like, where Edwards gives you an extra 10 metres per set or whatever, not per set, per extra 3 or 4 metres per set, are you going to gain you get an extra line break and a half with Pappy through the middle? That's what I wonder. And also, is Edwards fully fit?
My pushback on that, I think the game has sped up. The big games are consistently decided by fullbacks like Edwards, though, in my opinion, over the last few years. The game has sped up, but
I would say for a long period of time, the game was decided by a fullback by Billy Slater, and Pappy's closer to Billy Slater.
There's been one fullback that's won the last 4 comps in a row, and he's been incredible in all those big games. Origin's a big game. The argument I could make for Pappy is I think up at Suncorp, bit of a faster track. I can get around that. But I just think it's a risk you don't need to take with a guy like Dylan Edwards available. No
concern about kind of a bit of injury cloudy, this season.
I personally don't think he's fully 100% fit.
And you
now.
asked Dylan Edwards that question. All right, he bleeds blue. He's won a series last year. He's been tremendous for a number of years now. Across club footy, international footy, he's had opportunities. You have a conversation with him. You say, mate, where are you at? You chat to the Panthers staff and their doctors, their physios. Is he at 100%? Is it 90%? If he's anything less than that, all right, you have a look at Teddy, you have a look at Pappenhausen. But as long as you get confirmation from both Dylan Edwards, and he seems like a straight shooter for me, I can he'd tell you. If he was underdone and under a bit of an injury cloud, he would say that and I wouldn't pick him. But if he gives you the okay that he's 90 to 100% fit, he won it last year, he's done it. You know, Maroons sit here and carry on about pick and stick time and time again and pisses me off. Because as soon as you lose, you change that motto. But there's merit to
Calm
it.
down, Meredith.
Jesus Christ.
There's merit to it that when you're winning, you do. And Dylan Edwards, since that Origin series last year, he's won another comp. Like, why change?
It's pretty easy to pick and stick, Timmy, when you've got 12 immortals in your team for 8 years.
Heaps easy.
I think the other thing with Edwards too, boys, is if you're not going to pick him because he's not 100% fit, he's probably got 1 premiership ring, not 4. The bloke's played injured the last 4 years straight. Like he can handle
The only
himself.
problem, if the argument is because they've won 4 premierships in a row, there's a few other blokes that you'd have to put into the side because they've won 4 premierships in a row.
Yeah.
And also the pick and stick argument as well. There's going to be some other blokes that, if that was your argument, you would also include them in the side, which we'll get to.
Look, I'm not Laurie Dale, and he's throwing this line out there about picking on form and learning from lessons of the past. To a degree, that's fine. But for my side, I think that there's probably going to be a bit of pick and stick to it, and it's different, right? Like, I think Pappenhausen is absolutely going to produce more points than Dylan Edwards, and I would have no knock with Ryan Pappenhausen being there. But when we've got strike weapons like Latrell Mitchell, Tom Trbojevic, Nathan Cleary, all these superstars, you don't need a game-breaking fullback in your team. If you looked at your side and you went, geez, we're a bit flat for points, where's the creativity going to come from? Sweet, you pick Pappy. We don't need points. They're going to come.
What about the, just first of all, your thoughts, and then I'll get to the next question.
Yeah, perhaps controversially, I'm going Tedesco.
I was about to say, so if you want that version of fullback, right now Tedesco has had, we know he can do it in the big games, and I'll let you...
Well, that is the exact reason I'm picking him. I don't want to change much of how he played last year. I love Pappenhausen, and there's no doubt for me he's the form fullback of the comp, but I just don't think he suits what the team from last year and like how they want to play. And I think, like for like, Tedesco's averaging over 200 metres a game. If he's not, if Pappy's the form fullback, Teddy's probably second. He's absolutely killing it.
He's a reigning Dally M fullback.
He's a reigning Dally M fullback, and please don't forget, James Tedesco, in my opinion, is the New South Wales Blues' best player since Andrew Johns in that arena. And there is absolutely no question for me. He, from 20, when he debuted in, I think, 16, game 3, all the way up until the end of 2021, mate, he was unstoppable. And I know that, they wanted to go away from him last year because perhaps it took away from Cleary, and I do have my concerns about that. I really do. But Edwards is playing busted for me. And for me, he's only had, 2 good games this year. I just reckon Teddy's hot right now.
Here's a question. He's so hot right now. For you boys, regardless of what Dylan Edwards would say, whether he's injured or he's not injured, do you think he's 100% right now?
No, I don't. But I didn't think he was in those grand finals either.
Not quite. There's also, what do we got? Still another 2.5 weeks until the game's played.
But hang on, it's a bit different though. Like, if he was playing a grand final and James Tedesco was up next, like, we'd be having a different conversation. It had to be the guy. He had to be the guy in that grand final. I think comparing playing injured in a grand final to Origin is different. I think you've got to pick your
There's a choice
fittest
between
guy.
him and like some reserve grader rather than him and Teddy.
100%.
I think that James Tedesco is still a better footballer than Dylan Edwards. But I think when we're picking a New South Wales team, I think Dylan Edwards suits what we're trying to do more, right? What we've seen with Tedesco in recent years, and he's so dominant at club level because he gets so many touches. He jumps into first receiver. He does everything. He has a tendency to overplay his hand, and that works at the Roosters right now. And they've got inexperienced halves who, they need this dominant fullback to come in and get a lot of touches, especially in attacking territory. At Origin camp, we don't want Tedesco necessarily to come in and jump into first receiver and overplay it. Dylan Edwards is a fantastic role player. They'll run for a similar amount of metres, and he chimes in exactly where he's needed to. He won't take touches off Moses, Cleary, Luai, whoever your halves are. He'll make sure that your outside backs, or these strike weapons, they're getting their early ball. It's not a knock on Teddy. I just think Dylan Edwards suits the Blues team that we've got.
Now, so I've been questioning. It sounds like I'm anti-Teddy or anti-Edwards. The reason why I'm going Edwards is because I believe that even him at 90%, his style of rugby league suits the core of the team that we are most likely going to pick. Now, if that changes, obviously we'll get to that. But when you've got a core of Penrith that it looks like we're probably going to lean into, he will be able to play the role better. I think the problem with Teddy is, even if he was in career best form right now, let's say he's in the best form of his life, I don't think he suits pairing with Cleary. I think they've struggled to strike up a connection that really, really works. And even in the season that they were good together in 2021, that was the Trell and Turbo show. And also, if I'm being honest, it was actually also the Luai show and getting them early ball, especially I think it was Trell on his side up in Townsville. And so I think that it's actually not about who's better between Edwards and Teddy, form-wise, or even just who's a better player. It's more about who gels better with the half that we're most likely going to choose. And I think that it's been proven over the period where New South Wales have lost series that they probably should have won, that the Cleary-Teddy thing just doesn't seem to gel well.
And that's why, for me, Teddy isn't a no-brainer. Like, I have thought about this all week. And Edwards, honestly, Edwards has been my fullback all year. But I just think he's not at 100%. He's not in form, in my opinion. And Teddy, as you said, Timmy, is probably he's proven in Origin and all around a better player. So that's why I've gone Teddy. But by no means would I be upset if Edwards.
When Teddy had his dominant period, he was the big dog in that spine. Like, he had halves that were obviously it was Cleary initially, and he was rookie Cleary. So he was like, take a backward step. A bunch of different. He had Maloney as a 6, I think, at one stage.
Yeah.
Who was very much a role player, Maloney, and more of a spiritual guy. Whereas at the moment, I think that Cleary is the big dog now, or even now, if your 7 is going to be Mitchell Moses, maybe that's a different question. Maybe him and Teddy could work together. The problem is we haven't seen it. We don't know. Whereas we do know Cleary and Edwards gel well together. So even if Edwards is at 90%, it's the role he'll play there that I think is going to work.
We also know as well, Moses and Edwards will work well together.
Because we saw it last year as well.
I think as well, there has to be an aspect of, and I don't know if anyone else cares about this as much as I do, but we moved on from Teddy last year. We brought him back in for game 1. I think we need to start to look to the future.
I can't see, that's a big one as well. Laurie Daly, what does it look like if he goes, I'm going back to my man that I had then. I wonder whether he'll be, that keen on doing that.
Because the other thing optically is, and we'll get to Jake Trbojevic soon, but you let go of your current captain to bring back an old captain to let someone else captain. Like, it's just a lot of fuck around for me.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good point.
Alrighty, boys, it's time for the rubber to meet the road.
Yep.
Dylan Edwards is our fullback.
Well, it's 3-1-1, so yeah.
Yeah. I think he's probably the guy they'll go with. If it was purely on form, Pappy. But I think to the point you guys have made about with the style they're going to look to play, how he gels with other players, and the connection he's got, it's probably going to be. Well,
funnily enough,
Edwards.
If there is a different side pick, I think you do go Pappy. Like, if you are going balls to the wall, fucking fast play the balls, win the ruck, then I think you do get Pappy. And I've got a version of a side here that I think would suit that, but we'll get to that eventually.
Just out of interest before we move on, if Edwards happened to be injured, I'd go Teddy.
Teddy.
Yeah. What about you?
Pappy. For the reasons we just kind of talked ourselves into.
You're going Pappy anyway, though. What would you do?
Oh, it just depends on the side I'm going to select. You'd probably go if you're still all in on that style of rugby league, you go Teddy, because they're very similar, Teddy and Edwards. But the worry I have with Teddy is the overplaying, the stepping in at first receiver, that kind of stuff.
I'd be having a combo with Teddy, and Teddy will do it. I know he struggles because he's such a hands-on player, but I'd be saying, mate, come in, but just take back your role. We don't need you jumping into first receiver. I'd be very specific on the role you want James Tedesco to play, and be very clear on that so that we don't get clunked.
You know what?
Too many
I'd be going
balls.
Pappy.
I know we're getting deep into hypotheticals here. Any Turbo interest?
No.
Before the
weekend, for sure.
Yeah.
100%. He would have been my fullback behind Edwards before the weekend, where he just didn't look at 100%.
Yeah.
Even before the weekend, as a key position like that, you can't. If he goes down halfway through the game, I know you can cover it, but you don't want to be covering that stuff.
Fair.
It's just such a risk. Whereas a wing, you can kind of we'll get to that, but you can move players to suit the wing. And also, he'll be doing so much less work in the wing that, anyway, we'll get to that. But you know what, the more I think about it, the more I go, you know what, I'd probably go Pappy. Just that speed through the ruck. You know he's going to play a role. You know he's going to be second fiddle to Cleary as well. The worry I have with Teddy is when the game gets high, super intense, He falls back on what he does so well for the Roosters, and also what he did so well at Origin, which was becomes the big dog, the main man, and wins matches himself. The problem is that this team, we'll get to it, it's Isaiah Yeo and Cleary's side, in my opinion, and that it should be their side. Or it's Mitchell Moses and someone else's side. But anyway, we'll get to that. But to make it really clear, it has nothing to do with how good Teddy is. It has everything to do with the style of player that Teddy is. And suiting, if I had a young spine, 1,000,000% I'm going Teddy. Like if I had Cleary and Luai, 2021 backwards, or even 2022, 100%, I'm going Teddy every day of the week. But I feel like Cleary, Moses, even Luai even Luai have grown enough where they can take the lead and it's their side.
Yep.
But a young spine, I'm going Teddy. Matter of fact, a young spine, I'm going Teddy before Edwards.
Yep.
So that's just to give you an idea of like my thoughts with Teddy and where I land on him. But okay, so it's Edwards at back. All right, now it's time for the wings position. Okay, so Lomax most likely this week he returns or next week, but the latest. But this week.
Big
now
game.
Lomax, there is an argument to be made, was if not the best player of the series last series, definitely in the top 3. You've got To'o, who came back last week, looks solid, ran for about 200 metres. Now To'o for me, he's immediate selection, even if he'd only had a week's game. That's how good I believe To'o has been in Origin. Because Lomax was good last year, To'o's been good every single year. But the question is, do we all agree To'o's just a lock? You just put him in no matter what. There's not
He'd
even
have
a
his
debate.
foot amputated on the Tuesday before the game and I'd pick Brian To'o. Seriously.
Good point.
There you go. There you go. So To'o is all a lock no matter what he's getting selected. Okay, the other wing though. We've got Kiraz, Lomax. We've also got Tommy Trbojevic. We could potentially put Critter there, as in we potentially could, but I don't think any of us would. So pretty much it's between
Can
Kiraz.
I throw one at you?
Yeah.
Mark
Nungwituase.
Early days. He's only played a couple of games
Okay.
there, but they've been good. And this is not everything, but every now and again, there's a bit of a, we need someone who can challenge in the air, be an aerial threat.
Well, Coates is a massive area.
Exactly,
Now,
correct.
Lomax obviously is too.
Exactly. So if Lomax is fit, I think he slips straight in. But I if that's the style of role they're looking to cover, if he's out, just a smoky to throw in there.
And
as
even
well.
if you take out the aerial stuff, if I had to name a fifth name that I was interested in, it'd be Mark.
Yep. So I'm with you to put him in the conversation. Maybe we bring him into camp, boys.
Yep.
I just think it's a little bit too early.
Okay, yeah,
It's
fair.
a little bit too
Fair.
early.
As we said, fifth. He's
Yeah.
the fifth name there.
Oh,
Fifth
yeah, I
spot, so.
wouldn't go near him with a 50-foot pole.
Okay.
And that's due to no knock of his own. Just still very raw to the game. I know he's played league through the grades, but Origin's a different beast. He could be our winger in 2026, but way too early.
Sure.
Yep.
Yep. All
Matty?
good.
Sorry, Hammy, just move that mic a bit closer to you.
Oh, yep.
If you were, on the hypothetical that he was to come in and play this season, this series, I should say, it just writes Queensland's game plan. Just make him make a decision, pressure him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had him at the back of my mind for an absolute smoky, but I didn't truly consider him. I think he'll be there one day, but I don't know if you need to bring him to the squad. Like, I think he'd probably be wasted as an 18th, 19th, 20th man.
No, when I say squad, I just mean like the extended.
Right, I got you. Yeah, sweet.
Just in the camp. For a
Yeah,
bit.
fair enough. In that case, then yeah, sure. He's been to the Olympics, been Wallabies, so I don't know. I probably wouldn't rush to get him in there, but he'll be there in the future one day.
Okay, so now a lot of people are going to think that this is just a foregone conclusion that you probably put Zach Lomax in there or Tommy Turbo, but I think that Kiraz deserves an equal shot at an equal seat at the table of selection. I think Kiraz could do a job. I think he offers a lot of youthful energy. He's a big moment player. Granted, Lomax did it last year. We need to wait to see how Lomax returns, obviously. I think he'll return well. I think he'll be fit. The big question is, though, you've got a guy like Tom Trbojevic, who on his day is the first picked out of anyone in the entire backline. However, at the moment, does look a bit hindered in the way he is running. Who are we leaning towards with this wings position?
Guys, is everyone else, I don't know, I'm putting a red pen through Turbo on the wing.
I am completely disagree.
Really?
He's on my wing,
Turbo's
so-
on my wing.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I think there's a conversation to be had with Turbo. If he thinks he's good to go, I can't leave him out of the side. And centres have been so good, I can't put him in the centres.
On the wing, I'm having him
He's-
red pen through.
Loz Daly sits down for a coffee with him this week and just says, "Where you at, mate? What can you offer me? Where's your body? Are you ready?" It's Tom Trbojevic. probably the second nicest bloke in the NRL behind his brother Jake. And if Turbo would be 100% honest, he'll tell him. And if he says, I'm good to go, Loz, I'm picking him every day of the week. If he says he's...
What if he says he's good to go, but then you watch him run and he's limping still?
I trust Tom Trbojevic with my life.
I just don't. I don't
Seriously.
know. I don't know if you want him. I can still have him as a centre, where he doesn't have to run the ball back, do all that sort of. He's got to do a lot of work from the wing, and if he's not running well, just asking him to do a lot of stuff that relies on
Running a lot.
I know this was 6 years ago, but I just go back to 2019 Origin. He'd been injured.
Yeah.
He came back for 2 games. One game he was quiet. The other game he killed it against the Dragons. He came back in Perth in the rain, scored a hat-trick and jumped over Ponga for a try.
I will say, very different version of Turbo now. He's way more banged up than he was then.
100%. I just thought it's fair enough to throw that out there.
We have about 10 dudes in New South Wales history that if you say you're good to go, you get a jersey in a heartbeat. He's one of them.
Yeah. But of course, we're picking this before the games on the weekend. We get another look at him this weekend. We get a look at Zach Lomax, who'll come up shortly this weekend for his first game back from injury. You look at these guys, but right now, you're just having that conversation.
So he was obviously selected last year, got injured, first game. Lomax, on the other hand, got selected, was one of our best. Is it sending good, strong cultural messages that the guy that was one of our best is getting selected over a guy that looks a bit injured right now and did get injured in the first game last year?
Completely different kettle of fish with Tom Trbojevic. I get what you're trying to point out there, but I think everyone accepts that Tommy Turbo is a different kettle of fish.
Dropping Zach Lomax for Jacob Kiraz might be sending a poor cultural message. Tom Trbojevic, will go down as one of the best at moments Origin players we've ever had. He's currently, when fully fit, I know it's rare, top 1-2 players in the game. Very different to Kiraz.
And you know what? If Lomax had played the last 10 weeks and was killing the NRL, like he probably would have been if he was playing, but he hasn't been, that makes the decision.
What if he goes and kills it for the rest of the next 3 weeks or 2 weeks?
He's got one week.
What he comes out and he runs for 250 metres and does what he did before he got injured.
I have that conversation with Turbo. If he says he's good to go, I go Turbo.
Do you think Turbo's good to go?
I don't know. Haven't spoken to him. No,
you know what I'm asking. Do you think Turbo's
my answer is if I had to pick yes or no, I would actually probably pick no. But I'm still picking him.
Yeah. Do you think he's fully fit?
You know what? He's not fully fit, but when has Tom Trbojevic ever been fully fit to be fair? There was one moment in the game on the weekend where I think it was Luke Brooks made a break, late on in the game, and up to that point I'm going, geez, looks a bit underdone, hasn't had his entire involvement, and that could have been a conscious thing to go, I'm not going to overdo myself leading into Origin, etc., etc. I need to stay fit. Brooks made a break, and it was at a key time in the game. It might have been 12 all or 14 all or something, and Tommy Turbo came steaming from behind in support. I went, he's striding out there at full pace or close to it. That was a really good sign for me.
So my decision in regards to what I would do, I would absolutely be going Turbo.
on the wing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, 80 minutes, you can, even him at 80%, we saw last year, he wasn't 100% heading into that game. He still actually ran for like 120 metres or something before he got taken from the field. And I think that he's honest enough if you say, put the hard word on him, not just like, oh, how do you feel? Like, mate, if you aren't 100% and you come into this game and, something happens, you're letting your state down. Like, you really put the hard word on him and he's like, nah, I'm fucking ready to go.
This is a guy that wanted to take a pay cut last year because he felt bad for missing games for Manly.
Yeah.
Like, you got to take his word.
Yeah,
you
that's
just
my
have
whole
to.
point. I don't think you even need to put the hard word on him.
I think you do put the hard word. I think you do put the hard word
I
on
don't
him.
reckon I reckon he'd probably be more inclined to like, I'm not ready.
Yeah, I
agree.
agree.
Probably-
100%.
That's what I'm saying. I think that he would be honest, but I think I think you do put the hard word. I'm saying, mate, if you're not right, you're going to be letting you lay it all out on the platform, like, all out.
I don't reckon you'd need to spell it out. He'd be like, he's like, listen, just be honest.
I
with
reckon
me.
he just gets
I think it's worth having that conversation. I don't think like going go half-hearted into it. I think as a coach, the state, you have every right to be like, this is what's on the line. Are you good to go? And then if you are good to go, there's no like easing you into training and all that kind of stuff. It is all the way in. I personally believe that he is good to go. I think at Clubland, he's so good that he knows that he can just like pull back a little bit when he needs to. And I agree with you, Timmy. When I seen him sprint on the weekend, when he needed to, he looked fine. Now, the problem is if you actually watch him play and you didn't trust in his ability to like take it to the next level, he actually doesn't look 100% to me. Like, I reckon if you compared his body now to 2021, he'd actually be probably a half a metre slower, or all that kind of stuff. But I do think that when he gets to Origin, the way he hinders himself at Clubland, I think he would let those cages off and he would just go fucking boom. And if he went busted then it is what it is. So I'd be picking him. But I'd definitely be having a conversation with him for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't just be going, yep, you picked, nothing to talk about here. You know, I'd be fully putting the hard word on how important it is to the state.
Can I say one thing? Out of all the people I'm leaving out, it makes me sick to my stomach the most that I'm leaving out Lomax.
I agree. Yep.
Like, no question. And seriously, tune in to Packer Up Boys on Friday, because Eagles are playing Thursday night, and we're gonna get a lot of answers on Thursday night.
He'll kill it.
Yeah.
He'll kill
He's
it.
going to blow it away on Thursday. Yep.
He'll kill it, absolutely. He definitely deserves to be there. I think and the reason, like, people go, you sound really anti these people, it's because I have to ask the questions so that we actually have a fucking conversation instead of just going, yep, Tommy, all right, next one. Tommy is a generational talent, whereas a lot of these other guys that you're like, oh, you know, for example, Kiraz is a bloody good player, and who knows what he'll eventually grow into, but he's not generational yet. And that's why Tommy gets treated with a special regard, because he's generational. Whereas you don't treat your normal Origin players with that same, I guess, special treatment.
Yep.
I will say as well, just with the wing spot, it does make it tough that Turbo's banged up, Lomax hasn't played, Kiraz missed the start of the year, and
Toto's also just coming back.
Toto's just come back, and Kiraz, he was clutching at his neck the whole Canberra game. So none of them are like fully banging the door down fitness-wise.
Do you think you need to carry some cover on the bench to, if an outside back goes down? Obviously last year, we'll get to the utility later,
bench.
but
the only worry I have with that is, like, if you're that worried and you're picking it because you think someone might go down, because then they shouldn't be picked.
that's
Pick the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas I just, as I said, I think that Tommy's, you know, you have a very serious and deep conversation with him. I think he'd actually appreciate that, because he knows how much that it means.
Yep.
And I think that he'd be honest.
Well, he's never let anyone down when he's got picked, has he?
I
Australia
think
or the Blues?
I would assume for you guys, if you had to pick 5 players in the history of the Blues that is a Queensland, you'd be stoked not to see on the team list. I'd be shocked if Turbo's not.
Well, that's like, and we'll get to him, but like, people would go, oh, you know, are you going to pick Latrell? You know, don't get me wrong, I know we had a great game on the weekend, but before the weekend, there were some people that were saying not to. Latrell is a scary player.
Correct.
Latrell is a bloke that you look across the line at you and go, that's Latrell Mitchell.
Yep.
Tom Trbojevic is in that same vein. You look across and you go, like, for example, when you look across and you see Zach Lomax, you think, there's a bloody good friggin' player that's in really good form, but I'll do my best to I'm also in good form. You know, my name's Xavier Coates. Whereas Xavier Coates looks across to Tom Trbojevic and goes, I used to probably watch him when he was fucking tearing us apart. 2021, sorry.
I would be stunned if there's a Queenslander out there that says, yeah, pick Latrell or pick Turbo. Like, seriously.
Yeah, and they're two players as well who constantly kind of play out of position as well. You just kind of get them in there and they make it work.
They'll make it work.
Of course you don't want them on the team sheet. Like,
Yeah.
Those two guys are, if you give them a half opportunity, it can cost you a series.
Well, okay.
Realistically.
Turbo scored 2 Origin hat-tricks for the Blues. Name me one other person that's done that. Don't waste your time.
Yes.
Hasn't happened before.
So Turbo, however, I will say, if he goes out there and he does still look hindered, I'll be disappointed for sure, because we've had that conversation, and he looks hindered and he doesn't have the best game, I'll be bringing in Lomax for game 2. If he looks hindered. Even if, like, he just has a solid game, but he still looks within himself and his knee, you know, whatever, not striding out, that's when I do pick Lomax, because you just can't afford to be hindered or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I'd have Lomax as my next man up. I think, you know, I love Kiraz, he's a very good football, but I think there has to be something to be said for guys that have just been there and done it.
Yeah.
It has to stand for something.
Yeah, agreed.
And
Done
also,
it at the high click he did it at.
yeah, Lomax did it extremely well. And also, it's about team culture. It's about saying, like, mate, you're next man up because you've earned that. You earned that jersey. You can't just go fucking, oh, here's another guy that's playing well. You know, see you later. Bring you. Like, Lomax is a part of this New South Wales squad now. Even if he's not playing, he's still a part of that squad.
Yeah.
To your point, Guru, if Lomax has been playing this whole year, he walks into my team.
I think he gets into mine as well. Yeah.
See, that sounds funny, because I still might lean towards Tommy, even if Lomax was playing all year, just because he's that generational talent. But I understand what you're saying. What would you do if Lomax was playing all year?
Turbo.
Yeah, I'd be going Turbo still. What'd you do?
Well, I think you guys taught me into it, probably Turbo. Yeah.
But the good thing for the fact that we're even questioning Turbo being selected shows you how good Zach Lomax is. And I think in a couple of years, it might get to the point where it's like, no, Zach Lomax is actually just playing better footy and we're selecting him. But I think right now, Tommy has so much cachet and just money in the bank from what he's done at Origin that you go, forgive him the opportunity. Okay,
and probably should have won the Golden Boot last year. Or,
absolutely should have won the Golden Boot last year.
Who won it again?
Isaiah, which I'm a stoke for.
Oh, that's
I'm stoked
right,
for.
yeah.
But mate, Tommy should have won.
He came into that off like 2 or 3 weeks.
And he was absolutely injured in that too. He still killed it.
Yep.
Okay, guys, don't forget, before we get to the next one, don't forget DJ Grumpy is now live. If you've got a cafe, run club, gym or whatever, and you want DJ Grumpy to come down, go to Dojo. Email djgrumpy@grumpycoffee.com.au. So whatever it is, if you've got a Pilates class, you need a DJ down there, whatever it is, DJ Grumpy will get down there. Give us a message us on Grumpy Drinks on Instagram or give us an email, djgrumpy@grumpycoffee.com.au. Also, don't forget, grab some Grumpy coffee. We've got ours right now. All of us having it at the moment. And DJ Grumpy will be down at the Rusty Rabbit at Darlinghurst this Saturday from 8:30 till 10:30. Get down. I'll try to be down there as well. Come down and have a coffee. Okay, next position, centers, boys. Okay. I think this is just like, we could sit here and pretend like we're having a discussion about who should be center, but I think we just lock away Latrell Mitchell and
Adam
Critter.
Dewey.
And Critter. I think Critter, you know, he's come so far as a player. Like, look, if you have a one-off game where Tommy Turbo and Latrell and Critter are all playing at their best, you know, yes, Tommy and Turbo and Turbo and Latrell, they might have had, you know, better one-off games. But there is something intangible about Critter that I think that he almost is nearly the first picked in that back line, maybe even the first pick right now. I would go even as far as to put forward to you guys, could Critter be our captain?
He's in the conversation. 100% he's in the conversation. I don't think he'd probably be my captain, but he's right up there with them. Like, when it comes to these two centres, I don't know about you boys, but I thought it was insane for the last 3 weeks that anyone else was being nominated outside of these two. I couldn't believe that these two guys were getting left in.
I think a lot of people just saw the Turbo Trell pairing and just assumed that that would be the thing.
Was there anyone actually reputable that said not to pick Latrell and Crichton?
Oh, mate, I don't know. I'm just saying, I think there's some people that just went Latrell, Turbo. I can understand where they're coming from. Like, we're talking about two guys that, you know, you've got Turbo that was essentially the Golden Boot last year from centre. You got Latrell Mitchell, who is a generational freak. I don't agree with it, but I'm just saying I think that's where
there's a lot of
thinking
shouts
was
for
it.
Bradman Best too. Then he was still getting to run a lot of sides, which good footballer Bradman Best. I don't think he's been at his best this year, but how you could leave out Trell or Critter, I can't say it.
Yeah.
No.
No.
What about Latrell after last week's performance? Let's say he performed like that for the leading into it.
Well, I just knew 2 weeks out he was going to go Origin Trell now and go up a gear. It terrifies me. They've got the Tigers this weekend as well, the last game before the team gets picked. But he does it every time. And every year I feel like everyone goes, oh, is he in good form? Is he interested? This and that. And then 2 or 3 weeks before, everything just clicks and he produces moments like that. Not only did he do it with a field goal, with a cheeky try at the end, but with gritty defence and stuff as well. Brutal. So... he is interested. He's ready to go, and I'm sure, he'd be one of the first on the team sheet.
Yeah. Latrell for me, it's just as long as if he looks fit, I'm picking him.
Which he's looked pretty much all year.
Well, he looks fitter than he did last year. And we saw what he did last
as
year.
we know, when he's playing centre, he needs to have 6 runs a game. He can win a game for you. Like at fullback, you're asking for 15 to 20 runs, and just for everything to be different, involved in ball playing, netting fit. To be call what it is, you don't need to be ultra fit at centre compared to fullback at centre.
And we kind of said it at the Rabbitohs as well. Like, he's had to kind of go back to fullback because, yes, Jai Gray's been good, but he's got to be the guy there. In Origin, it's different. Like, there's, you've got so many great options who are, out and out fullbacks. We know that he can make it work at centre. He's had some man of the match performances in Origin at centre, and it just plays to his forehand. All the stuff he's good at, the terrifying runs, all that sort of stuff.
I liked his intimidation factor as well last 100%. Year. Like, he was throwing blokes around. He was getting in the niggle, and the thing is with Trell, he's such a big presence that, I have to be honest, it's probably the first time I saw Queensland outside backs going, I don't really want to go toe-to-toe with that bloke.
I think it's the most unspoken thing about the Origin series last year that, it was all about Angus, Mitch Moses, which they were incredible. Mate, when we picked Latrell in game 2, I think the rest of the players would have just gone, okay, we're on here.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's back in the series.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So, Trelly and Critter, now, let's just continue the conversation though. Should Critter be our captain? He is currently the captain of the team that's on top of the table. They started the year 6-0. Obviously got beaten by the Broncos, but then went down and Critter led them. Like, they're down. They're out. Getting beaten by an informed, red-hot Raiders. Critter goes, boys, nothing to worry about. Comes out. Not only just like leads them as a captain and says the right things and sets the right plays, individually goes, just give me the ball, I'll sort it for you boys. Is there a world where we go, Critter, he's not only our captain this year, but he's our captain for the next decade?
Not
Obviously, you
for me.
don't lock it in, but you know what I'm saying.
I'd go Isaiah Yeo. But once again, Critter's in the conversation. I would want someone that's in the middle or in the spine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Timmy?
Yeah, you can go Yo, you can go Cleary, obviously, and you can go Crichton. I'd probably go Nathan Cleary. I just think he's the halfback for the next 10 years. I think he's the man. He leads the side around. Everything comes off the back of him. He's an inspirational leader as it is. I think I'd just be handing all the keys to Nathan Cleary.
I think Yo was the skipper of the Kangaroos last year as well.
Correct.
Obviously, shares the role with Nathan Cleary at Clubland, but does most of the media and all that sort of stuff as well. Played very well in the series last year. I think it's great to have all those three leaders in the side, but I reckon right now I'd have to probably just give it to Yo. And Crichton, I think he's your next captain for sure, no brainer. But I don't think right now there's any need to put extra.
It's the New South Wales Blues business manager. We're trying to sell jerseys in Critter, young, hot, all that good stuff. Does that help at all?
Don't care.
You don't care?
Don't care.
You want to sell any extra jerseys?
It's Nathan Cleary.
Yeah,
He's young and hot, that's true.
Yeah, we'll just put him in some marketing material, no dramas.
No, but captain. There's a hotness about the captain. Anything, mate?
You three were quick to shut it down, but I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Like Critter could be, I know Reece Walsh probably is right now, but Critter could be the most marketable guy in the NRL. He's certainly for New South Wales. He's going to, if he's picking him as captain now, he's going to be captain for the next, 5 years, 10 years. Yo, I love Yo, and he's going to be a leader no matter what. But
does he need to see next to his name to be a leader?
I don't think he does. I also think he's not going to play lock next year.
I was going to say.
He's definitely not going to be the lock next year. Well, not definitely, but he most likely won't be the lock next year.
Who's Isaiah Yo?
Cam Murray.
Yeah.
We'll come straight back in.
We'll get. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. As in, I think he's locked into the side.
Sorry, he's locked into the side.
He's not going to play
as
13.
13, yeah.
And that's it. Long term, I think Nathan Cleary's the halfback or the 5'8" for the next 10 years. Crichton will be the centre for the next 10 years. Isaiah Yo is unbelievable. I'm with Matty. I think all going to plan. Cam Murray probably starts at lock next year. Isaiah Yo, whether he's a prop or off the bench, just less secured there. So I think for that reason, just locking Cleary or Crichton.
There's also a marketing job availability at the New South Wales Blues if that's what the decision's going to come down to in my Blues.
I'm not being serious.
But the decision won't come down to it. But
also,
it's a factor. It is a factor.
Also, you not
small
calling
factor,
Isaiah Yo a hot boy? Don't rate him?
Oh no, I'm all for Isaiah Yo. I think we will make more money by getting him on the big billboards. Shirt off, Blues jersey out.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm being facetious about the selling of more jerseys. But there is a longevity question of, if they're for example, the last generation, and granted it's a little bit different because they played Queensland, they had all these immortals, blah blah blah. We know that. But you could argue that because there's been a dearth, a long period where Queensland dominated so long, New South Wales are short on greats to a degree. And you've got guys like Boyd Cordner that are really, remembered really strongly, obviously Paul Gallen to a degree. But I think that if you were to begin to set up the process of making Critter a great, he make himself a great, but do you understand what I'm saying? You put him forward as this generation's Joey or Freddie or whoever you want to, and I'm not saying that he's there yet, but I'm saying if you begin that journey of the next great Blues captain, there is something with the story around that can be told for generations after that. And so that's where I look whether it's this year or next year, I think there is a potential of making Critter the captain for everything he's done off the field, the fact that he's led the Bulldogs from essentially bottom of the table to where they are now, and also there's the story that you can sell with Critter.
And they'd know who the best leader is, Stephen Crichton or Nathan Cleary. I don't know. I'm not in that inner sanctum at Penrith or the Blues or any of that. So they'd know who the go-to guy is.
I think all that's great, but I don't think there's any need to rush it right now. I think also Laurie will be quite... there's potentially a couple of changes coming. I think you'll be cautious to change too much too drastically. And, Yo basically skippered the side last year, when Gerbo was off the field and stuff like that. I just feel like it's a nice, easy kind of.
I'm going. I would actually be going. This is now my opinion, not me just trying to create conversation. I'm going Isaiah Yeo this year. However, I would be positioning the Blues squad for the next few years for Cleary and Critter, either of those two boys, to be the long-term faces of the Blues. So, like, I would be if I'm from because like stories matter. I know people. Oh, mate, what are you talking about? All that matters is on the field, but you need stories to get you like. Why do you think they bring in Cam Smith and Billy Slater and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, they're really smart footy minds, but it's all about inspiring the next generation. And I think that the Blues have an incredible opportunity to begin building that with Nathan Cleary and Critter. Like, think about how many young people right now are, pretending to be Critter in the backyard, pretending to be Nathan Cleary. Whereas right now, for Queensland, Munster and DC, they're a little bit older. Like, they're getting into the end of their generation. Like, who is the next guy that people are pretending to be in the Queensland side? Hammer to a degree, but he's not in a key position. He's also not a captain of a club. He's also not at a club that's on top of the table. Reece Walsh to a degree, but at the moment he's fighting to get a spot in that Queensland side. Whereas right now we got these two young, really, really good players. I think also another year for Critter, to wait another 12 months, is also to help him develop at the Bulldogs as well, because he's got a real challenge on his hands now. Everyone's expecting them to be in the top four. They're expecting them to do a deep push into the final series. Let's see how Critter handles it. Let's see how, I'm assuming he will handle it well, but we need to see. So my personal opinion is I'd be going Isaiah Yeo this year, but then like if you want to go co-captain with Cleary, fine. I don't mind with that. Like, it is whatever. But then next year I'd be trying to build a dynasty around Cleary, Critter. Thoughts, boys?
Just one thing. I would never, ever, ever do co-captains for Origin. I'd hate that idea with a passion.
They did win 4 comps in a row with it.
Club footy, sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I reckon pin it to one guy.
They kind of did it last year. Like, I mean, Gerbo was on for 20 minutes and
I think that's the other thing, though. If you're going to, if you were to move to like a Critic, captain this year, like you're moving it off Gerbo, and you're sort of almost taking off Isaiah Yeo as well, as you said, and moving it to another dude. My other thing as well, boys, and I'm thinking really long term, if you were to make a statement and make Stephen Crichton captain, Samoa could be a tier 1 nation next year. I don't know if he'll be there.
Yeah, it's fair.
Which is really long-winded, but it's not that crazy.
Yeah, I don't think the NRL can afford to stop the Polynesian boys. But it is a potential.
But it is something there.
It is something to
That's
think about.
not the hypothetical I needed, Roo, this morning.
I've been thinking about it for 5 minutes.
Well, the funny thing about that eligibility, the funny thing about the eligibility thing, and I'm quite traditional with my thoughts on it, but at the same time, I don't think the NRL can afford to block out.
Nope.
No way.
Like, I think
it's got to be the premium product.
Yeah, the ironic thing is like, I don't think the NRL really have a choice.
Yeah.
If they sit and go, hey, all you Polynesian boys, see you later, mate, half the friggin' squads would be gone.
Origin would be closer to what international footy was 10 years ago, within 30 or 40 years.
Yep. So I think at the moment the NRL is going to try to keep it as close as what it currently is.
Yep.
Because otherwise we lose. I think that the thing that they're trying to figure out is, how do we make it fair, though, for the Kiwis and the Poms that have been living here since they were 13 or whatever.
Yep.
All right, so we've locked in, Latrell, Critter in the centres. We've also moved, we've all agree that Isaiah Yeo would be our captain. Is that essentially the consensus? As in,
I'm
I know
happy with that. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. Yeah, definitely
happy with it. Okay, Isaiah Yeo. Before we get into the 6 and 7, guys, join the Bloke Club today. We've already given away on Monday. Last Monday we gave $2,000. This month we're giving away $1,000, but you've got to go give LDC_01 a follow to go in the running. The good thing about that is that you have a very, very high chance of winning if you give him a follow, because you're not competing against all the other numbers that are in the Bloke Club, right, that won't go and follow. So go and follow LDC_01. We're giving away $1,000 to one lucky winner. Also mention Bloke to Luke at LDC_01 for a special price discount at the end of this financial year. Or you can go into Aspley Mazda and mention Bloke, guys. He's the best in the business. So make sure to speak to him about cars and go to Aspley Mazda, grab your car today. And do not forget to join the Bloke Club, because we've got a bunch of specials. We've got some really, really big plans for the Bloke Club as well, guys. Really big plans. Discounts on a bunch of things. Going to have live events, live shows, all this, like special merch. We've got big, big plans for the Bloke Club. At the moment, we've got some Bloke Club members. So 180 Cadence, they're offering a $50 discount to the Sydney Ultra Marathon for Bloke members. That's their biggest discount ever. Then you've got the Phrase Skincare boys. They've put in a care box valued at $350 $350 will be giving a Lucky Bloke Club member, and they're also running a 20% off sale right now. The best skincare for blokes, guys. This was made by two tradies, so they get it. And also Charity Trades. Guys, this is an organisation on the Central Coast that helps those that need it most. If you want to get involved or hear what they're all about, reach out to Sam via Bloke Club. Blokes giving back and helping out where they can. Now, if you're a small business with a small marketing budget and you'd like to be on the biggest sporting podcast in the country, give miles@blokeinabar.com an email. So that's MYLES @blokeinabar.com an email, and we'll get you a part of the Bloke Club. Okay, time for the 6 and 7. Alrighty, boys. This is going to be tough. This is going to be tough. We've got Mitchell Moses, we've got Nathan Cleary, we've got Luai. We'll lay the groundwork out. 15 years, hadn't happened. They go up to Suncorp, they get the job done. Luai is in a key moment in the game that essentially wins New South Wales the game. Moses steps up and just wrangles a series back under his dominance and gets the job done. Nathan Cleary, however, now, me personally, this is my opinion on Cleary. A lot of people say, he's never dominated Origin. He has had good games at Origin. There's no denying that. He's also won a bunch of series at Origin. The only thing he hasn't had is Origin Joey moments. Whereas, has Moses had that yet? Has Luai had that yet? So I think the argument of, he hasn't had any big Origin moments is just factually not true. The argument is has he had a Joey-like series? And I don't think he has. So it's just that he hasn't played well at Origin yet. I don't fully agree with that.
He's got 2 men of the matches.
Yeah, so I don't fully agree with that. But, has he had as good of a moment as Mitchell Moses and Luai had at Suncorp Stadium, Game 3? I don't think he's had as good a moment as that. Matter of fact, no half in the last 15 years has had a good as moment
Can we
as
also
that.
just take note of the fact that we're talking about anyone speculating over whether or not he should be the halfback for the Blues, and that is the conversation. He hasn't had the Joey-like moment. We're comparing the bloke that, do we pick him in the team, to the greatest halfback of all time?
Yeah.
Does he get in our team? And we'll get to that.
It's like different conversations, really.
Yeah, the fact that we're comparing him to the greatest halfback in NRL, in rugby league history, is just how is this a selection concern for people? But it is for a lot.
Yeah. And also, he's won 3 series as well, I'm pretty sure. Maybe even 4.
Oh, he's won 2, I think. Because I don't know if you can count 2019 because he played game 1, then got injured in game 2, and then game 3 they won. So he's won 2 or 3.
Yeah, okay. So he's won series before, well, at least 2. So there's the 2 there. He's also had the 2021, he was the 7 when that was a record-winning series. They literally had a record-winning margin. So he has done it. The question is, though, Moses did have a sense of control in key games last year that was unique to Moses. And Luai just finds a way to win. You go back to that 2021 series, he was a part of that as well. And a lot of people say Luai before last year's series hasn't played really well. He did. In his debut series, he was outstanding. He just had the other series after that where he wasn't great. On top of all that, Luai, at the moment, aside from the weekend, his team is higher on the ladder than the Penrith Panthers and also the Eels. And granted, I know there's other reasons and blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying that is true. Now, boys, who are we going for 6 and 7? Because it's a conversation of 2 players, not just one. Roo, I'd love to hear your thoughts, mate.
I am picking Nathan Cleary on my side, but he would be my 5'8".
Okay.
I'd be going with Mitch Moses at halfback. I just think what he did last year, he was just I personally thought he was in more control in an Origin game than I've ever seen Nathan Cleary in control. I know we'll make the argument for 2021. I just thought that year it was a different brand of rugby league. And I'm not taking anything away from those guys, but I do think it is the exception, not the example. And when you take away that year, I think Mitch Moses has done more with less. So he'd be my halfback. Nath, he's a generational talent. He might be the greatest halfback we've ever seen, potentially. But I'm here to win this Origin series, and I think Mitch Moses is the best halfback option to go with. And I think that you saw in that grand final when Nath sort of slid out to second receiver just how damaging he was. And I think Mitch Moses, I think the other thing that I think people are sort of forgetting is, Mitch Moses is 31 years old. He is at his peak right now. And I think off the back of what he did last year, I just think he has to be the halfback. And if it goes wrong game 1, you move Nathan there, sweet. Good as gold. But we have been begging for 20 years for someone to do something like what Joey did, and Mitch did it last year, and I just think you have to reward him for that.
What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, Cleary and Moses, and pretty easy and happy to select those two. And I mean, for the record, when we're talking about not selecting a guy like Jerome Luai or Zach Lomax, it's through no fault of their own. They're tremendous talents who deserve to be there and could play there, and they wouldn't let the team down, and they could win us games off their own back. We're talking about the pinnacle of rugby league, and they're stuck behind incredible players. So it's nothing on them. But I just think Cleary and Moses are the best halves in New South Wales.
Who's your 6 and 7?
I've got Cleary at 6, Moses at 7. I think at the end of the day, these two are both number 7s and organising number 7s. I think people read into, at times, the number on the back of a 7 and a 6. I think we saw for a long period there from, I don't know, maybe 2007-8 off the top of my head to 2018-19, where you just had a traditional left side half and a right side half, and I think that's what these two will do. I think Cleary will play left side. If you're picking Moses, the biggest asset in his game is his long kicking game. So if you're leaning into that, you put him on the right side because that's.
Is there a concern that you're making one player play not his normal side, preferred side?
Not with Nathan Cleary. As Guru said, we've seen time and time again the impact that Nathan Cleary's had on that left edge. Of course, you'd prefer him on the right, but this is Nathan Cleary we're talking about. He'll be fine. Even at the Panthers at the moment, he's swinging to left all the time and having an enormous effect there. So I'm playing him as traditional halves, Cleary on the left, Moses on the right. We know that Dylan Edwards, the shape he sort of plays with Penrith and at club level and even at origin level, he plays that sweeping role typically only on the right edge. So, Nathan Cleary will have even more of a say on the left. If you want to get Moses swinging out to the left as well, off Cleary you can, but traditional left, right side halves won't go wrong.
Whose side is it?
Cleary's, but I don't think you really have to divide it when you go left and right. But I think the dominant man is Nathan Cleary.
Okay. Now, is there a concern that in the one series where you went an out-and-out 7 and you went an out-and-out 6, you got the dub up in Brisbane?
Absolutely there is.
And also Queensland have shown if you have an out-and-out 7 and an out-and-out 6, that's, with DCE and Munster, you get the job done. So, for example, Munster and Luai are much more similar style players than obviously, Munster Cleary or Munster Moses. Yeah. Is there a concern that, although your opinion is that people make too much of the 6 and 7, is there a concern that that's wrong? There is quite a difference between 6 and 7, and you need a 6 that is an incredible running game like Luai with incredible footwork.
It depends what type of halves you want to pick, mate, because if you want a left and a right side half, I don't think much changes. If you want a dominant number 7 who you want to run the show and be first receiver, and then you want a ball running 5'8" like Cam Munster or Jerome Luai, who, you throw someone like Matty Burton into that mix where they will play the foil and they will aim to get their halves in the better position and they'll swing off the back of their halfback and play second receiver. It's a completely different style of halves that you've got there.
Do you think that, so the argument for Mitchell Moses was he went up to, Brisbane and he did what he did and, it was incredible. So because he did what he did last year, that's why he's getting selected. But he did what he did last year with an out-and-out 6. And yet Luai's not getting selected. Do you feel like that's a bit of a, for Moses, you're saying, well, he did it last year and no one's ever done it, so that's why I'm selecting him. But then with that same argument for Luai, he's not getting selected.
It's a very different halves combination, isn't it, going with two halfbacks than a traditional 7 and a 6. And maybe that is the right option. Perhaps it is, and it worked last year. So there's argument, backing up that you go with the traditional 7 and 6 rather than two halfbacks. Despite the fact that I think they're the two best halves combined in our game, mate, Luai could be the answer. He very well could with one of those two. And if it was me, it'd be Nathan Cleary. And if they went with Cleary and Luai, I'd be like, okay, I get it. I have no knock.
Do you think it's unfair? I'll ask you this, Ruud. Do you think it's unfair that a lot of people are saying, well, look what Moses did last year, that's why he should be selected, but they're not saying the same thing for Luai?
Yeah, and it is unfair, and I'm guilty of that as well, 100%. And I think that if it wasn't Nathan Cleary in this situation, I think it's just about any other halfback not named Andrew Johns, I think Luai walks straight back.
I'm with you, mate. Yeah. Anyone but Nathan Cleary, there's no argument. You just pick Luai and Moses.
And that's my defence. I think Mitch Moses deserves the opportunity at halfback. You can't deny what Nath has done over the last few years, that I think he has to be in there.
What about what Luai's done in the last few years?
Yeah, and it's 100% fair. But I think that Nath is an absolute generational guy. Maybe there's a age that Jerome Luai is as well. But I can't leave Nath out of the side, and I want Mitch to be the leader of the side because I think he is... I just think in the Origin arena, he's more suited to it.
Could you make the argument that Luai has taken the Tigers to higher than the Panthers right now? and therefore like that winning side of him is actually a better resume than Cleary right now.
Bloody oath you could. Yeah, and that's where if any of you said I'm picking Luai, I'd go, yeah, okay, I get it. He does deserve it. I think he's we said before, Lomax is probably the unluckiest guy to miss. I think I'm probably leaning towards Jerome Luai.
And like part 2 of this is, all right, we'll see what halves we end up with, but if you're going with Moses and Cleary, you don't necessarily have to go with, all right, one plays left, one plays right. You can go with, all right, it's Moses' team as the 7 or it's Cleary's as the 7 and they play first receiver. I would have confidence in either Moses or Cleary doing what Rue suggested, and that play as a second receiver and a 5'8" and sweeping both sides and linking up with the dominant halfback. I'm okay with that. That is a really tough decision, what type of style you want to play with these halves. I don't have a definite answer in what I do, and I'm keen to hear your boys' opinion, but we'll get to our halves first if it does end up that way, but I'm keen to hear it.
And that's where I'd prefer Mitch Moses sort of dictating terms and Nathan Cleary just playing his natural sort of eyes-up game. Because I think if you reverse it, I don't think Moses is as potent, one wider as Nathan Cleary
Is there a concern, though, if you're getting Cleary to just play eyes up, but it's his team? How can you get Moses to dictate, but it be Cleary's team?
Well, that's
it's
his
Moses' team.
That's
in my
his
opinion.
Oh, your Moses
I'm
team and
Moses'
your Cleary team.
100%.
I'm going Cleary's team. So it's so funny, like how little's between it.
Yeah.
Let's say you went with that more traditional. All right, one of them plays the out-and-out 7 role, and one plays as a 6 and plays off the half. Oh, it's so hard. I think it's Nathan Cleary's team. I think he's the better halfback. I think Mitch Moses could play as the second receiver. He's so quick. He's got a great ball playing game. You let Cleary dictate and control.
So Cleary's
the
your 7 then?
Well, as I said, I don't look into the 6 and 7 too much.
Okay.
But
Yep.
I've got them both playing Cleary left, Moses right, rather than a 7 controlling the middle and a 5 out the back like route. They're different styles.
I'm sort of going.
And that's the conversation I'm keen to have with you boys
Yep.
once we settle
For
on
the
it.
record, sorry, I'm exactly with you, Timmy. I don't want to repeat what you said, but for me, it's Cleary's team. I think to play into their strengths, I reckon it's Cleary controlling. Moses is quicker. His running game's good. I don't mind him as a 6, but when it comes down to it, I don't care. I want Moses on the right. I want Cleary on the left. Look what Moses did last year in Melbourne. Stick Moses on the right, stick Cleary on the left. But if it came down to it, for me, it's Cleary's team. Moses is the 6.
Okay, Hammy, thoughts, mate?
Rugby league's a simple game. I think it's too complicated having Moses and Cleary in the same team. I don't think it works. They're too. It's got to be their team. Otherwise, you're asking them to, in the hardest arena, you're asking one of them to deviate their game pretty much completely. Yes, we saw Cleary obviously did it in the grand final a couple of years ago, and it worked out all right there. But I think you're asking way too much, for these guys to get into camp for a week and a half and one of them to basically completely change their style. I've gone with Cleary and Luai. They've won 4 comps together. Luai makes the number 7 next to him better in these big games. We've seen it. Cleary has probably missed him a lot this year at Penrith. He was obviously great last year alongside Mitch Moses as well. I just think there's a nice clean. It's the other guy's team, but this guy can bust the game open. He's also just, Origin just kind of just comes through his pores, you know what I mean? Like he gets up in the face of the other team that the opposition fans hate him.
Argue he got in DCE's head last year.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's, I just think you've got to get him in there. And I think, it's a tough call on Mitch Moses, but we had to make one on Zach Lomax before, and he was probably one of the Blues' best last year. So I know he was great, but I've got to leave him out for Cleary.
Okay.
Just going back, I know Thurston's running game is miles ahead of Cleary and Mitch Moses, but half of Queensland's dynasty was 2 7s. It can work.
Halfback, great call. Halfbacks.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's a hard
I know
comparison.
Thurston's different because his running game is just so elite.
Like that's what he was just, It's a hard comparison because you're comparing like Jonathan Thurston, like one of the GOATs. But I see what you're saying. All right, boys. My team in regards to the halves, I'm going Cleary at 7. I'm going Mitch Moses at 6. It is Nathan Cleary's side. I have a question to pose to you, but it's going to be later because it's part of the
Hooking and teasing.
Hook and a tease. But I'm going to go Cleary at 7, Moses at 6. But they've got a game. I think that if it looks clunky, if Moses is stepping on his toes and Cleary's stepping on his toes, I'm just going boom. I'm pulling the trigger straight away and getting Luai in there, because it's just because it's Nathan Cleary. It really is. I'm very nervous to go. You know what? Doesn't matter. 6 and 7 isn't that different. They are different in my opinion. Having Munster in Queensland side, that is defined series. His ability, like he is an out and out 6. And look at last year's series for New South Wales. Like it was a defining play from Luai that won him the series at the end there. He was there, footwork, jumping around, all that kind of stuff. It was Luai getting in DCE's face that got them a penalty, all that stuff. It was Luai, you could argue, that got into DCE's head. No one's gotten into DCE's head, ever. And Luai managed to do that. And so that's where I get a little bit concerned. Are you losing that edge? Yes, you've got some incredible players in Cleary and Moses, but Luai, he's got that intangible spirit that you can bring into an Origin side and a squad during the week as well, that he clearly has, that we don't have a measure on it yet. We don't have a measure on it yet. But we do know he left the Panthers after winning 4 in a row, went to the Tigers. Yeah, okay, the weekend was bad, but outside of that, they've been outstanding. On top of all that, he had a great debut series, and he's an out-and-out six. An out-and-out six. You throw him the ball, he'll just make something happen. And yes, Cleary or Moses can do that too, but they're not out-and-out sixes. And so that's my concern with the Moses Cleary one. However, the positive with Moses Cleary is that kicking game is a fucking not. It'll be the first time the Blues will go into a series in a very long time with a better kicking game than the Queensland
It's genuinely
side.
20 years since
Like,
we've gone in with
we've never gone into a series like that where we will just be getting pinged into corners. There won't be a single kick that'll be crap. Every kick will be pinpoint length of the field stuff, and that scares me a little bit as a Queenslander. So, as I said, they got one game to show it. If they look like they're stepping on each other's toes, I'm bringing them out. I'm putting Luai straight in there, and I'm going to, whoever plays better or whatever, Moses Cleary. But at the moment, I got Cleary at 7, Moses at 6, and I'm telling Moses, mate, I want you to just use all that that first 10 metres at some of the fastest in the competition. I want you to be fast, flat, on advantage lines, taking defences on in the good ball. And Cleary, I just want you to create space for your outside men, square up as much as you can, use your running game as well. And that's kind of how I'm playing them at the moment.
All the stuff you said about Jerome Luai is so spot on. Like, it's going to keep me awake at night not having him in my side. It genuinely will. And if we get to the end of game 1 and New South Wales was lost, it is best man stays at 7.
Yeah.
Jerome
I can't pick Jerome right now, but I think if Laurie picks him, I'll be somewhat relieved.
Yeah,
it is a weird
will
one.
actually-
It's a weird one.
And I'll respect the hell out of it too.
Yeah. Because the great Gus Gould, he has said you need an out-and-out 5'8", then it needs to be Luai. Okay, so that's the 6 and 7s. All right. Now, let's get into number 9. I think we don't need to spend much time on this. But, look, Api Koroisau, he's playing some good footy. Mm-hmm. I'm going Reece Robson. I like his durability. I like his 80 minutes. I like his defence. He was one of the best defenders of the last series. I think we've got it. I think that Api Koroisau, his attack is too good. And that sounds silly, but I don't want him attacking out around the ruck because I've got Cleary, I've got Moses that are going to do that for me.
Well, we also, and all the other players that we've kind of got in that team, there's not enough attack there. That's not the
For
issue.
a similar reason that we've sort of gone against James Tedesco. You don't need Api at number 9 overplaying his hand. Reece Robson, he just plays his role so perfectly.
It's the half side.
Yeah.
I got a smoky for you, and Robson's my pick. But if he gets injured, I reckon I'd look at Blake Brayley
Okay.
over Appy. I don't think Appy. I wouldn't pick Appy.
I mean,
anymore.
he's good service, great defender.
I'd do
Very
it, Matty.
durable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think he's been playing good too.
And for the same reason, I'd go Brayley over like a Wade Egan that's been thrown up as a smoky too.
Yeah.
I just think it suits the side
Yeah.
better.
Okay, now on to the front row, boys. Big conversation. Now, for some reason, and maybe it's my Queensland bias, I don't know. So I don't want to put a spanner in the work, but I'm getting the feeling that there's a move to position Terrell May out of this side.
Thank God.
Some of the stuff. Yeah, thank God.
Queensland
As a
and
Queenslander,
Tigers.
there's just some stuff I'm just like, what? The stuff that I'm reading that's just kind of making me go, hang on a sec, what's going on there? But let's talk about the front row. And we'll talk about the front row and we'll get into the bench a little bit. Actually, you know what? Who's your starting front row?
My starting front row is Payne Haas, obviously.
Yep.
He picks himself. I'm also going to start with Mitch Barnett.
Okay. Is it leg speed that gets him there?
Yeah, leg speed. And I just think Barnett, when I touch on my bench, I've got Terrell May on my side. But once again, Mitch Barnett is tested. I know he's going to handle himself there. I know he won't take a backward step. I assume Terrell May won't, but I don't know that yet. I know Mitch Barnett won't. And I know that Mitch Barnett can play big minutes up front. So Barnett and Haas would start for me.
I'm copy-paste what Guru just said.
Yep. Okay, copy paste.
Yeah, I've got the exact same. I don't have the concerns about Mather. I've got no doubt he'll come on and kill it, and that terrifies me as a Queensland fan. I think they won't miss a beat when you take a Haas off or whatever. Bang, Terrell May's up in your face. That's tough to kind of think about. But I think Haas and Barnett are the starters.
Okay.
I've got Haas and Barnett. Barnett was there last year. I'll just go back to Haas when he started. It took him a while to get going in Origin. So let's not try and expect Terrell May to just go out there and bang out 80 minutes. It ain't going to happen. It's his first game. I'm more than happy to put him on the bench. If he starts, I don't mind. But May's in my team, but my starters are Haas and Barnett.
Okay, boys. My starters are Payne Haas and Isaiah Yeo. Payne Haas and Isaiah Yeo, because it opens up a lot of options for us as a side, as the Blues. I just think Isaiah Yeo, I think he suits front row more in Origin footy. Obviously, you can move him to 13 at times, but I just think that he is more suited to Origin footy. You get him in the front row. He's so good in defence. He's so good in attack. He adds that offload. He just, there's so many things he can do. He can play as many minutes as you need him to play. He would be my captain as well. And if you do start him in the front row, it opens up a lot of just a glorious bench that you guys may... Look, it sounds a little bit crazy, but it may actually be something that could work for us. Because if I put Isaiah Yeo in the front row, that allows me to put either Connor Watson at 13 or Cam McInnes. But I would be going Connor Watson, which then opens up my 14 jersey to potentially be Jerome Luai. That way, if any half goes down, anything happens there, we've got Luai there sorted. But also, you can chuck Luai in the 13 role for a few minutes if you wanted to, or you put Isaiah Yeo back there. You just get Luai in the middle to just create absolute havoc, give Robson a bit of a break. I'm not sure whether I'm all the way there yet, but I actually do like, regardless of how that works, whether it's Luai at 14 or someone else or whatever, I actually like Isaiah Yeo in the front row.
There's some method to your madness there, but does it throw out the whole, building the combinations and the Cleary, Yeo?
Well, Isaiah Yeo came on in the front row last year, and he worked really well when he did step back into that 13 role with Moses off the bench.
If Cam Murray's available, I'm picking Yeo in the front row. He's not available. I think with Luai, mate, you got Cleary, Moses, Luai. Someone's not getting a Christmas card. You can only have two of them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think there's a method to your madness. I think you've lost your rocks, mate. And let's start with Jerome Luai off the bench. He can cover half back, we know, but he's a 5'8". I don't think you can bring him on at 13. I think he's never played 13 in his life. I don't think I've ever seen him playing around the pack, nor should he. Why would he? You've got Connor Watson, who is just the perfect 14 for us. If you start him at lock, if there's an injury in the game in the outside backs where Watson's there to cover, I assume probably for most of our sides, we'll get to that shortly. But
you'd have Luai would be covering that. Luai could play. I think he could play centre.
Yeah, well, I would not be doing that.
Big test.
You don't reckon Luai he can defend at 3, but he can't defend at 2?
Very different positions.
Come
for
on.
For a bloke who's never played
you just don't need to do it in
why?
Yeah, but there's a lot of things you don't need to do, like this coverage. I think that I back Luai in more, I guess, than in regards to being able to cover multiple positions. And also, my concern with Isaiah Yeo at 13 starting is his leg speed isn't as quick as Connor Watson. Connor Watson gets across the ground quickly. His ball playing is good. And I just worry the speed through the ruck and through the middle. I like Connor Watson potentially there. And even if you don't want to put Luai at 14, you could look at someone else at 14, whoever it is. But I just wonder with Isaiah Yeo, Barnett, Yeo there, with the speed of and that's why Cam Murray is absolutely my 13 if he's fully fit. And I think that last year that was a real key component to your dominance, was that speed around through that 13 role that was offered. And so I wonder how you can get Isaiah Yeo to play more front row, whether it's Cam McInnes at 13 or someone else. That's just a question I have. Now, as I said, I don't know if I'm fully there, but it is a conversation I think that is worth having in regards to Connor Watson.
I think you're trying to fix something that isn't broken in moving Connor Watson from that 14 role. Look, I'm with you. If Cam Murray was there, sweet, play Yeo front row, but he's not. Yeo's one of the best ball playing 13s, probably the best ball playing.
But Yeo's been poor at 13.
Yeah, I know. But
we've got more evidence of Yeo not going well at 13 in Origin than we'd have going well.
Yeah, I just don't like it.
Golden boot at 13.
Hey?
Golden boot at 13.
For Australia, but that's a different style of rugby league.
Yeah, I know, but he's...
And also,
Nathan Cleary at 7 and Edwards at the back. I think, Nathan Cleary wasn't there last year.
But we're pretending like we haven't seen Isaiah Yeo at 13 in Origin. Like, we've seen him there with Cleary, and it hasn't been as effective as we would have hoped. That was the whole point that he started off the bench at Cam Murray was at 13, because the Isaiah Yeo experiment didn't work at 13. And that's where I just wonder, people, you're saying, I'm trying to fix something that's not broken, but you're assuming that the Isaiah Yeo at 13 just works when that's not what the side was last year. Which is going to get
Once again, Cam Murray's available. I'd probably do it.
Sure.
I don't think it's crazy, but for me, for my team, that'd pretty much screw up my bench. And also, I think Luai at 14, I don't like that personally. I want, if Luai's been picked, he's the 6.
Yeah.
I think I want my 14 to spark and cover, and I don't. In my opinion, he doesn't fit the bill of cover.
If you were going to do that, genuinely, I think Dylan Lucas would be a better 14.
Yeah, moving Watson from 14 into the starting side just changes too many things.
Yeah. I think it's worth considering. However, I wouldn't be doing it. Obviously, boys, I'm just trying to create some conversation here because everyone's going to select the same thing. But I will say this though. I think you're underestimating Luai. I think you're underestimating what he would do off the bench. I think that Queensland's done it for year after year after year. We've taken winners and just found a way to get them into the side, and it's worked time and time again. And I think Luai is of that same ilk. He is a New South Wales winner. If he was a Queenslander, we'd love him. We'd find a way to get him in. That's my point with Luai. But with all that said, without the conversation trying to be started, it would be Isaiah would be my 13, and it would be in regards to the starting front row, it would be Barnett. However, I'm not 100% on that because then I worry that do you lose Barnett's punch off the bench? I wonder because obviously you can have Spencer on there obviously, but we'll get to the bench or whatever. But right now, in regards to who I would actually select without just trying to create conversation, and also I think it's a fair conversation. I really do. I don't think it's as crazy as some people think. I would be going Isaiah Yeo at 13, Barnett to start at 10 or 8, and Haas to start as well. I think that Haas Barnett front row is a scary, scary front row. Now it's just a matter of how do I replace, because like Terrell May coming on he doesn't have as much leg speed as Barnett. So you're going to have to find someone on that bench with a lot of leg speed, and we'll obviously get to that. But yep, my starting pack is Barnett starting, Haas starting, and Isaiah Yeo at 13. Alrighty, it's time for edges. Look, we won't spend that long in here just because I feel like these guys have got the runs on the board. They're key players. Yes, form-wise, you could argue other people, but I think it's just got to be Martin and Crichton.
Yep.
I'm the same.
Yeah,
Yep.
not much to talk about there. Okay.
Well, I'm actually mixing it up a little bit. I've gone with Young and Martin starting. I've still got Crichton there.
Okay.
But I've got Hudson Young in there. I think he's just playing too good to not be in the team.
The Wally Lewis medal gets dropped to the bench.
Yep, he's still in the team.
Okay.
And he can still have an impact from there. But I just think Hudson Young's playing great footy at the moment. He's had a couple of cracks in Origin before, but it's been off the bench and it hasn't worked. I think it's been a real raw deal for him. But I reckon he's playing well. I think he's got to be in the team at the moment. I think he deserves to start.
Hammy, I love it. I think if we're being serious, they probably should, like, the team would be better, I think, if Hudson is starting left back row and Angus comes off the bench. I think Hudson on the bench is a complete waste, and I think Angus off the bench could actually provide. I'm not ballsy enough to do it. I think because he's the Wally Lewis medalist, he's going to start there, but I like Hudson starting Angus bench more than the other way around.
But the problem is like Hudson Young, he's been great, in clubland, and he's, only had limited opportunities. Crichton has done it at Origin many, many times over.
Completely agree. The only other thing that I tend to agree with you on is that if you are to pick one of them who's more suited to the bench, I think it's Angus without a doubt. But I just don't think you can take that edge spot off him. Not after what he did last year.
There's absolutely a conversation to be had. And to be honest, it wouldn't shock me if they did start Hudson Young, particularly if Laurie is going to lean into this line of form. He's the informed back row in the competition, and you would argue probably has been for a couple of years now. He's unbelievable. Not what I'd do. I would probably bring him on the edge, but there's absolutely a conversation to start Hudson Young.
As a Queenslander, I actually would probably prefer Young to start because I'd put pressure on him to make decisions in defence. Whereas Crichton, I know that he can defend, and maybe Hudson Young answers those questions and kills it. But I just think Crichton has done it so many times at Origin level. Like, be a rough go to.
And for that reason, that's why I'm still starting with Angus.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely a conversation to be had.
I think that if Crichton has a quiet game, I think by game 2, if you want to start Hudson Young,
Put
absolutely.
it this way, hypothetical, but if Crichton was a right edge and Martin was left, I reckon Hudson Young could start on the edge because I'm with you. I just want Crichton starting. I think he's our best back row to play, and you could bring Martin on through the middle or if it was given a player a spell on the edge. But just because of the same edges, it makes it tough with Crichton and Hudson Young.
Now, granted, if Crichton is quiet in this game, I'm giving Hudson Young the start the next week. Yeah, absolutely. And I bring Crichton off the bench. But yeah, I'm going. My edge is Martin Crichton. And also, look, if Martin has a quiet game, maybe I'm moving him off. I think Crichton and Martin have been relatively quiet this year. That they've earned their spot from last year's form. But that doesn't mean they get to keep it if they don't aim up.
I think it was big of Martin on the weekend to play the full 90 minutes too of that game. He's sort of been floating around that 60 mark, which had me. I still would have picked him because he's an Origin player, out and out. But I was a little bit concerned how he'd go for the full stint.
Okay, let's get to the bench, which is probably going to be one of the most hotly contested. I mean, you just have to pick Connor Watson at 14.
Yeah,
it is the first time in a long time where you finally got that 14 jersey, arguably over Queensland. Because right now they've obviously got Benny Hunt. He's getting older. Form-wise, he's obviously out now, so he's not going to be selected. Dearden is the front runner, but some people go, well, how do you use Dearden? But we'll get to that. Whereas right now, it's the first time in a long time, New South Wales Blues just go, you're our 14, you're staying our 14 for as long as you're playing good footy. There's no other player like you. You lock him in my opinion, Connor Watson, the whole Pirate.
Completely agree. I think you mentioned before when you were talking about him playing 13, just his leg speed through the middle. I want to, I know he's playing hooker at the Roosters. He's doing a good job. I think he's the 13, not a 9. And that's how I'd want to utilise him. My plan would be for Robson to go the distance, play the 80. Knowing Robson, he's too tough for his own good. If his ass is hanging out, sure, you can move Connor in there. But my plan would be for Robson to go 80, and I want Watson probably playing 55 at lock.
Yep. Thoughts?
Same around the number 9. Ideally, Robson 80. But if there's any concern there, you slot Watson in for 15 minutes. He can cover everything, and not just cover everything, but just do it at such a high rate. If there's an injury in the back 5, he slots in at centre. He would do a job there. It's probably somewhere where we're slightly weaker in that you're putting a forward there to cover out at centre. I don't love it, but the balance of our side is so good with him there. And then you can move Latrell, Crichton, Turbo, whoever it is around that back line to accommodate. This is if injuries happen. As I said, he can slot in at 6 easily. Then we've got 2 dominant halves. Our side's so well balanced with him there.
Yeah, I think this is when you're getting a bit funky. I know it was for argument's sake before. I reckon the number 14 is the role that Laurie Daly will play the straightest bat with, because I think in his previous stint as coach, sometimes it got a bit funky, and there's a couple of guys that, what's your plan for them? They'd sit on the bench until there's 5 minutes to go, and then with Connor Watson, there's a very clear plan, a very easy way that you can use him. So he nailed it last year as well. I think they've got to pick him.
Yep. Okay, now here comes the very, very tough conversation. I think you have to have Terrell May on this bench as a front rower. Like, you tell Terrell May, mate, go on there. Don't be silly with your offloads, but just give us 1 or 2. That can change the game in Origin. Like, that's the hardest thing is getting that second phase footy. I think you have to have Terrell May on the bench as one of your front rowers. Boys, what are your thoughts?
I have got May on my bench, and I've got him sitting next to Spencer Leniu, and I want these two. I think last year taught me a big lesson, mate, that you just need villains sometimes. And these two, the two blokes from the western suburbs who, people are always talking about them, giving them shit. I just reckon they'll rev each other up. And I reckon, obviously Terrell May, he can play the big 80-minute games. I reckon in this, I want him for 30 minutes. But, mate, I want it to be like what he was doing for the Roosters last year. Completely turn my man. I think him and Spencer will just play off the back of each other. And I think there can be a 30-minute period there where you've got Leniu, May, and Watson playing through the middle. And I reckon that could be the minutes that we just blow you away there.
Yes, I've got Terrell May and Spencer Leniu. I think Leniu speaks for himself. Form hasn't been that good this year, but when we're talking Origin with how fired up he'll be, come on and give us your 2 20-minute stints, 15-minute stints, whatever it might be. He'll rip and tear. Absolutely. Terrell May, I just think he's presented a case that you can't ignore.
You can't ignore him.
He's, like, you can make any argument you want. You can try to formulate an argument to not pick him, and you can maybe say, all right, he plays big minutes, but how good are his stats? Is he bending the line? How much is he impacting a game? I just think you're trying to make an argument
against him for no reason.
And I'm like,
what other front rower that's name isn't Payne Haas or Adam Fanor-Blake?
Payne Haas is the problem.
Yeah.
Genuinely, he's the problem. Because you're comparing him, because they're in that same conversation.
Yeah, but
comparing the two.
Some of his stats have been close to Payne, though. That's what's crazy. No one else is doing what Terrell May is doing.
And it's state of origin. It's notorious for first 10 minutes. 2 blokes have gone down injured. There's been head knocks. They're gone. You go, hey, Terrell, can you come out and play 65 minutes straight in Origin for us? Sweet, without breaking a sweat? Yep. the fact, as Guru said, that you can do it and say, mate, give us 30 or 40 minutes and rip and tear. I said I would be saying, mate, play a controlled game.
But he's got one of the best offloaders in the
Don't
comp.
force offloads. You're so good, they'll come.
Yeah.
Pop 2 or 3. That's all we need. That can lead to points.
And you got Connor Watson off his hip. All of a sudden, the speed around the ruck is just like next level.
Especially, mate, in no shock to anyone. I've got Tommy Turbo, wandering and looming around the ruck from centre. I want him roaming. So you have Terrell May there, Payne Haas there, flipping the arm. And then you have the support play of Dylan Edwards, Tom Trebojevic around the ruck. Look out.
What do you reckon, mate?
Definitely got him in there. Just a couple of quick stats on him. Obviously, the 10 games this year, but averaging 172 metres, 404 tackles made, 97.4% efficiency this year, not missing anything in the middle, 33 offloads as well, 33 tackle breaks. I honestly don't know how you can not pick him. And again, as a Queensland fan, he is one of the players I'd least like to see on the field.
Mate, tighter in the middle, and you got him coming on.
Yep.
You're sitting there going, oh, shit. And look, who knows? He might have a Barry Crocker. We don't know. But for all the information you have right now, Queensland, when he comes on, is going to go, oh, shit. Whereas some of these other front rows have been tossed up, Queensland aren't sitting there going, oh, look out. They're just going, okay, that's another front rower coming off the bench. Mate, Terrell May and Payne Haas coming at you?
I don't want to sound rude, but I think this conversation is stupid. Honestly, how can anyone objectively say that Terrell May shouldn't be in this team?
I think there's a good chance he won't be in the side.
I think I will be furious. No, seriously, that would piss me off. Sorry?
What will you do?
What are you going to do?
Adonicus mode?
I'm going to forget about it and support the Blues. That's what you do. No, come on. Him and Payne Haas, they'll switch. Barnett and Spencer, it's the perfect like for like. He's in the top 3 for Dally M's. He's been, outside Payne Haas, been the best front rower all year. I can't believe there's even a conversation that he's not going to be in this team. It's driving me insane.
Yeah, mate, I'm with you. I think it's absolutely insane that there's even a conversation happening. I think he absolutely should be selected. And I think the combination of Spencer Leniu and him going at Queensland with Connor Watson floating around, fuck.
I just love to. Game 1's at Suncorp. Spencer's going to absolutely cop it there. They'll be booing him. They'll be going at him. And I want him sitting there with his little lunatic next to him.
Yeah.
Both of them geeing each other up. And I'd have Hudson Young sitting one seat over.
Start punching on him with each other. They're so angry.
I love that bench. I love that they're not going to take a backward step. And you know what? Terrell May, if he doesn't play well or whatever, he doesn't turn out to be an Origin player, sure. But I think he has earned the opportunity to show what he can do.
Agreed. And also, he's a big part of what Tigers are off the bottom of the table because of him and Luai.
Yeah. And as well, I think there'll be an argument by people he's been playing 80 minutes, you're not going to use him like that. We've seen what he can do at the Roosters.
Yeah,
We've seen how much he turns momentum in a big pack.
Look how much the Roosters miss him.
Exactly right.
Yes. And he's also, if anything does happen to Payne Haas where he misses games, it's just a like-for-like replacement. Obviously not the same standard, but you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I reckon the Blues had a good lesson last year, and they have the last few years, where they picked Young and Olakawatu on the bench last year and in game 1, and it just it was pointless because you got a 6 out of 10 from both of them. It just didn't make sense.
I think the only thing that made us different this year is Cam Murray was fit last year. That changes a lot for the Blues
for sure. But I just don't see the point in having two back rows on the bench.
Yeah,
they finished the series with Connor Watson, Yo, Barnett, Spencer, so no back rows on the bench. So I think one back rower, for me it's Young. There's an argument for Olakawatu, but for me it's Young. And then the 2 front rowers, May and Spencer, lock it in for me.
Okay, so the last position, I'm going Young. I just think, unfortunately, Olakawatu, he's had some couple of poor games recently. He had a really good game in between those 2 poor games, whereas Hudson Young has just gone like this the whole time, just up, 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 up. So I'm going Hudson Young. But I do want Olakawatu to get another opportunity. I do think he's made for Origin. I really do.
Yeah, I think Hudson Young has to be the guy. He's had opportunities off the bench and all that. Nothing annoys me more than when people just ignore an obvious change in a player, I think. And I just think Huddy has gone to a new level, and he might not have been super successful in the past playing Origin, but I don't know how anyone doesn't look at that bloke in the eye and go, nah, you're not an Origin guy. I just think he is just cut from the exact right cloth that you need. Is he a bench guy? I don't know, but I just think he has to be there.
But you know what? You look at, in limited sample size from a couple of Origins he's played off the bench in limited minutes, I believe, did he play game 1 last year when there was the Suoliti send-off? Yep. So, like, you put a line through that one. There's been other games in the past where things just haven't worked out for, I think one game, maybe his debut, came on and he just ripped into head so hard, he might have dropped a couple of balls and given away a penalty. All right, maybe a little bit overwhelmed by the occasion on debut or his second game, whenever it was. But when you look for a bench player and a player to have an impact, he ticks like every box, even if we haven't quite seen it. Someone with leg speed that can play on the edge or through the middle. I guarantee he can play in the middle if that's how we want to utilise him. He has X factor. He can change a game. He can create points. Like, sure, to this point, it hasn't happened yet. But if you, on paper, you look at him, he ticks every box as an X factor player off the bench.
In Origin, that's a bad bench. Like Terrell May, Spencer Leniu, and Hudson Young, like they're all dogs. They want they want violence. They want aggression.
Yep.
The one thing that Terrell May, just sorry to go back to him, that convinced me he was ready for Origin, mate. He absolutely got concussed in that first run against the Para Eels. Like absolutely massive head high, and most people just go, mate, I'm concussed. I'm going off the field. He played the whole game and played relatively well too. You get head high like that and you can continue on. You got fucking dog in you because most blokes are going, mate, I'm off. He was absolutely concussed. He still played on.
The other moment I love from Terrell May, he did a podcast at the start of the year and he openly said, like, I was sitting there watching Origin. I knew I was playing better than some of those guys they picked.
Yeah. Which one?
Call it arrogance. Call it whatever the hell you want. We don't win Origin last year without that bit of arrogance. He knows how good he is and he wants to prove it. He's done it all year. I think he has to be there.
And they got Spencer Leniu, who's openly just like, fuck you to the world. He's just like, fuck you to the world. So you're like, mate, that's what I want in an Origin player. I want my bench almost being the Brash Brothers going, if there's a stink, like, do you reckon Queensland, I don't think they're scared at all, but do you reckon they're going, oh, we got nothing to worry about when it comes to that bench? I think they're going, there's most likely going to be a potential stink when that bench comes on. We need to be ready for it. Yeah. Whereas I think a lot of the benches sometimes Blues pick in the past, it's just like, yeah, they're good informed players, but it's all pretty good rugby league. It's like, this is Origin, man. We need to get down in the dirty and the gutter. And I think Michael Maguire identified that last year and said, we need to meet Queensland where they're at, which is in the fucking gutter, and just get after it. I think sometimes Blues they're guilty of, it's all too pretty. It's all too nice and really nice form and the good stats and all that, instead of just going, who's a fucking dog that wants to get amongst it? And I think that's the bench with Hudson Young, Terrell May, and Spencer Leniu.
Then you add Mitch Barnett in the starting front row rotation. Oof.
Yep. And you've got your finesse in Haas. Like, he's your stat finesse guy, and he'll get amongst it. He's not. There's by no means am I not saying Haas is not mentally tough. I'd make the argument he's the most mentally tough player on the field. He's fucking 6'4" and plays 80 minutes. That's mental toughness. But he doesn't. You don't want him involved in the niggle. You don't want him giving penalties away. You want him bending the line, getting quick play the balls, and doing what Payne Haas does. Get Hudson Young to come on and fucking get amongst it. Get Spencer Leniu to come on and do that stuff. Okay, so just quickly for our 18th man, I'm going to sound like an absolute glaze machine for Luai, but I'm getting into my squad no matter what. Glaze Talangi. That's a good one. I just want him in my squad, mate. I want Glaze Talangi in my squad. No. I want Jerome Luai in my squad. I just want him around the boys. I want the boombox blaring. Him with Critter, him with Cleary, Yo, all reuniting. Dylan Edwards, they're all reuniting. Get him in my squad. And also, if there's any foul play on key positions, like it's Origin, we never know what's going to happen. But if someone comes in a swinging arm against Cleary or Moses, boom, he's straight there, ready to go. It's a key position. I've got Luai as 18th man.
I'm going for a debutant as 18th man. I want Dill Lucas there. I just think he covers more spots. I don't hate the Jerome Luai argument, to be fair, but I just think that if there was to be a HIA, something happens, I want the guy there that I'm confident can cover the most positions at a high click when you consider we've got Connor Watson in there as well. So Dill Lucas for me.
Do you feel, just quickly question on that, do you feel that you've got already quite a versatile forward pack and bench that can cover quite a lot of positions?
Yeah, potentially, but I think he's the best guy to cover those spots. The Jerome Luai thing, my same argument before. You have Cleary, Moses, you pick two of them, in my opinion. So, yeah, Dill Lucas, I feel confident. I think he'll be an Origin player of the future. Mate, if Hudson Young wasn't in unbelievable form, I would have seriously considered Dill Lucas on my bench. I think he's got Origin written on his forehead. Yeah,
I think what hurt him the most with me, because I'm with you, just the injury probably hurt him a little bit. I think if he was playing every game, mate, I'm with you. I think he's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, I could get around the Luai argument as an 18th man. Not for me. Dill Lucas, I think, Roo, is too similar to Connor Watson in what he offers, and I don't think our team needs it. So I would go Matt Burton, and like he's in.
Bulldogs are sitting there going, fuck, another
especially,
year.
Especially because the doggies play round 12, 15 and 18, which is those 3 rounds where he'd be unavailable. So I honestly don't know how much that comes into it. It'd piss you off, but also Bailey Hayward
shouldn't make no difference.
Exactly.
Also,
Irrelevant.
Bailey Hayward's sizzling at 5'8". They'll be all right. I just look at it and I go, all right, where's this weakness in the starting 17 that we've put together? And I look at the utility coverage of the back line. Connor Watson's there to cover it, and he can go in the halves, but he hasn't played 5'8" properly for a long time. He can go to centre, but, he's not an outside back at the end of the day. He'll do a job there, but it's not his spot. So that's where we need coverage. And Matt Burton, he's played centre in a premiership winning team. He's done...
You could cover fullback if you had to. I know you wouldn't do that,
need to,
but you could. Yeah.
He comes in and he plays as the foil at 5'8" if something happens to Cleary or Moses. We don't need any more forward coverage at 18th man. We need coverage of the outside backs and the halves.
Yep.
He's the man that ticks the box.
I had 2 there. I had Burton or Lucas for both those. I just think you want Lucas in around the squad for the fact that he's going to be, an Origin player in the future. Does he have to be 18th man? Maybe not. Burton, I think, probably gives you the most coverage if something goes wrong. You need to.
See, the reason why I've gone heavily into Luai is obviously all the intangible stuff, during the week or whatever. But it's Origin, halves get targeted all the time. Like, if you, let's say someone, Cleary or Moses gets a late shot or whatever.
Yeah, good
if
point.
you could just go, boom, Luai straight in, all of a sudden it's like, boy, we're just as good. We're just as good. But I see what you're saying in regards to the Lucas and the Burton. The Burton one makes a lot of sense because he is so versatile. You get a Dally M centre, a 6 that's going really well, but also a big body. His kicking game as well can't hurt.
Yep.
So I understand the burden. It's just the intangible stuff as well with Luai for me. Like, get him in the camp around the boys, just revving up that Origin
Can he be in
spirit.
the 20-man squad?
Yeah, maybe 19. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Maybe you put him at 19 and maybe you go like, you go Burn 18, Lucas 19, and Luai 20 or something like that.
And he's so professional. He's such a winner. He bleeds that jersey. It'd be hard to cop to go from winning last year to being in the extended squad. But
we know he'll do that.
He's a culture guy, he's a winning guy, and he'll come in and you go, shit, yeah. And if you're Laurie Day, look, mate, you're the next man up. If one of them goes down or if one of them plays back, you're the next man up. But this is what I've gone with. Jerome will go, yep, shit, yeah, let's go and win another series.
So our bench was pretty much the same.
I think it was all the same. Yeah, other than throwing up the Connor Watson moving or whatever. But yeah, it was the same. So the bench was Watson, Terrell May, Spencer Lenu, Hudson Young, and then we discussed obviously Luai, Lucas, Burton. I think we'd probably all land on Burton if we were to do a vote.
I did have Crichton on mine and Young starting, but obviously the consensus.
Yeah, we'll do the individual one.
Yeah,
this is just a consensus one.
Yep.
Okay,
Nice.
Now on to Queensland. Now, fullback. It's tougher than I want it to be because I'll give my opinion after, but they're in a bit of a pickle with the fullback because right now there isn't a fullback that's out and out killing it for the Maroons. You've got some rookies that are going really well. You've got Hammer that's going pretty good at times, but also can have some quiet games as well. Rube, speak to me, mate.
Yeah, look, it's a conversation and he's not killing it at the moment, but I think KP's an Origin player. As a New South Welshman, whenever KP puts on Maroon, I'm absolutely shitting myself. So he's my fullback.
I guess a little bit of pushback against that. I know it's a different position. He got brought off the bench. He was really poor coming off the bench last year, and that's more the fact that he's not a middle. But there is that.
Yeah, sure. I'm never going to bet against KP in Origin personally.
Yep.
Yeah, 12 months is a long time in football, Kempy. We've got the two best fullbacks in the game, Reece Walsh, Kalen Ponga. We need to have both of them in there.
What the hell?
Meredith off the long run.
Jesus Christ.
I don't mean you.
I've said no negative
Sounded
chat.
like you, I thought.
Yeah, it sounded a lot like me. There's been no negative chat to the Blues from me. And this guy just comes off the top rope for no reason.
Oh, that's right. I'm a Queensland selector.
Fuck yeah.
I don't mean you. I mean Queensland. But last year when it was... No, it's been a big 12 months. Because last year was like, how do we fit both Reece Walsh and Kalen Ponga in unbelievable form? You have to have them both. This year, it is a headache for you, mate. I'm Kalen Ponga, for the record. I know he's got the rib concern, but for the most part, he looks moving freely to me and all that. And with the rib concern, obviously, if you cop a whack, it might sting, but he's tough. They've got needles. They'll get him through the game. I still think he's a class player. Reece Walsh had a slow start to the year and he's out, of course, of action injured. I think you're a little light on in the outside back. So I think Hammer just shores up a defensive role at centre quite well. So I think I'd be backing the class of Kalen Ponga to step up in the Origin arena.
I've left him out, KP. I've let him through the keeper.
Wow.
I've gone with Hammer at fullback. I just think the way that the Knights have been going so far this year, attack's just been nowhere. That's his strong suit. He hasn't had big meters got his hands on the ball that much this year. I just think he's that, out of form, that far from his best at the moment. I don't know if you can throw him in there. I don't know. Billy, I don't know if there's anyone who can get the best out of him, it is Billy. But
Is there any smokies that you would have?
At fullback?
Yep.
I've just gone with that. What I will say was probably a bad week for AJ Brimson to defect to England. I reckon had he not done that, he could have been in the picture. To be honest, I know he's played 6 this year, but
Anyone else?
Outside of that, are you trying to push me towards Selwyn Cobbo here?
No, I'm trying to. You brought up Iongi earlier, and I'm trying to give you your take.
Well, I did. I thought it's too soon for Iongi. I'd have him in and around the squad.
Okay.
But
So Iongi's a Queenslander,
Yep.
and he's been. You could argue he's been the best Queensland fullback so far this year, form-wise.
yeah, I think too much too soon
Okay.
to throw a guy like
Reece Walsh got thrown in pretty early.
No, he did. I just think, given how they're going right now, I wouldn't throw that. I want to see a full season of first grade in him before I start thinking
What
about
about
that.
Jai Gray?
No, I wouldn't have Jai Gray.
No, not Jai Gray.
No.
I can't believe he gave you 3 layups and you didn't say Dream Buller at any point.
True. I need him playing for the West Tigers.
Listen, I'm going KP. I wish he could just rest friggin' a week so his rib could get okay. Jesus Christ. I'm just going KP. There's a certain class of player, and I think also when he gets around other people that are like-minded at his level, he'll go to that level. And there is a point of KP that he offers. Like if you went, let's say you were to say like Iongi or Gray or even like a Hammer, I think the one point of difference that we have with KP over Dylan Edwards, even Pappy to a degree, but also Teddy, is his ball playing. It is really a point of difference. Like, KP can give you 200 metres and give you 25 runs, but he can also be as good a ball player as any 6 or 7 in the competition where Edwards and Teddy can't. And so I think that, yes, you've got some of these young guns that can run for 250 metres a game. They can give you 25 carries and almost be a little bit similar to Edwards in that regard. Whereas KP truly, he has all that. He has the footwork, but he can rip you apart with the ball playing, and that's something that Edwards and Teddy don't have as good. They have it, but just not as good as KP. Yeah. That's why I'm going
As
KP.
a Blues fan, Kalen Ponga scares the shit out of me. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And as a Blues fan, the idea of Hamiso not being in the centres, I love.
He's got to be in the centres, Hammer.
Well, I was going to say, if Greg Inglis and Justin Hodges were your centres, I'd consider it. I consider putting Hammer at fullback, but they're so short. They're so short at the moment.
Centres are when we get there.
Okay.
Also,
Watch
I've
this
witnessed.
space, hook and tease.
I've witnessed with my own eyes, as everyone here, as everyone listening, Kalen Ponga, who was not having the best year in 2022, just come out and rip us in Game 3 at Suncorp, that hectic game where everyone got knocked out. Like, he just does it. He just does it in Origin.
Yeah.
It
I
has
think
a big
as well, like, the other factor is that Billy Slater's the coach.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
his track record with fullbacks is unbelievable.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm not. Yeah, I can. I hope playing his best footy is a walk-up start.
Yep.
Just hasn't produced it this year so
Okay.
far. But to your point, if anyone can get out of him, it is Billy. So I'd be happy with him there because I do like Hammer at centre as well.
Tell you what, the guys in Hammy's team, they'd know they have to perform.
Oh, absolutely.
And I love it. I am all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he does have Laurie Daly's suit on, so maybe that's a bit of an omen.
Exactly.
And he's now
Not
sitting
everyone
down.
gets a chair.
Sitting down
Exactly.
as well. Laurie Daly in a seat. That's a scary bloke.
It is.
It's a scary bloke.
But you've been warned.
Okay. Just before we get into the next positions, guys, don't forget, grab your Grumpy Coffee from grumpycoffee.com.au, the best coffee in all the land. We're having our coffee at the moment. I think I've finished my coffee. Oh, here it is. Yep, finished it. Beautiful coffee, guys. Multiple different blends. Comes to your house in 24 to 48 hours. grumpycoffee.com.au. And don't forget, DJ Grumpy is now live. Follow us on our Instagram. We're releasing a bunch of content from DJ Grumpy. He'll be doing his first set live down at Rusty Rabbit at Darlinghurst this weekend between 8:30am and 10:30am. Get down. Come down and say hi. I'm going to try to get down too. And also, don't forget to join the Bloke Club. It's free. You automatically go on the draw to win a Mazda BT50. No strings attached. On top of all of that, go to codesports with an S.com.au/bloke. Use code bloke for a special discount offer of $49 for the entire year. You get access to all of Code Sports for $49, an incredible price. We've had a bunch of people use the code, guys. Don't miss out. These codes aren't sitting around forever. I told you last week about the magic code. That went really quickly. This is going to go too. Don't miss it. Get it while it's here. Okay, it's time for the wing chat. On the wing, boys, there is, I feel like there's one. I wouldn't say he's locked in, but I think most people have one of the wingers in. It's the other wing that I think there is a lot of conjecture, a lot of discussion. Guru, who's your wingers for the Queensland side?
For my Queensland side, I assume the man we're talking about is Xavier Coates as a lock.
Yep.
I think you have to pick him. Been incredible for Melbourne. I think the other wing spot, I'd go Murray Tolling. I think he's very underappreciated. I think that he sometimes can be the forgotten man a little bit. I just think Origin, you want your outside backs to be big bodies that can move. I just think he ticks all those boxes for me. So Murray Tolling would be my guy.
Xavier Coates and Murray Taulagi. I think form has been impeccable this year, both of them actually, outstanding. I think one area you've got that you're probably a little light on comparatively to the Blues is yardage, and maybe in the past I was concerned with Taulagi, but the last 2 seasons he's averaging 166 metres per game both years, so he's starting to increase that yardage. Xavier Coates doing similar, and I just think they're the standouts. They're fit, they're in form, they're tremendous finishers. Xavier Coates in the air unbelievably, so I think they're you two.
Is there a world where you guys are leaving out arguably the best game breaker of the three in Selwyn Cobbo, where he truly does things that a lot of wingers can't do? He can play centre, also play fullback. He takes the tough carries. We know we do that.
At Origin level, the teams are so good that if you can just find any weakness in them, the best players in our game will just pepper, and it might lead to one try, might lead to 2 tries, might lead to 4. Selwyn Cobbo there has errors in his game. He has some off-defensive reads at times. Not bad, but they're there. And I just think it sort of writes our game plan a little bit. I would have confidence that between Cleary, Moses, Edwards, we could exploit that and we could go at him. And I just see that as a weakness in the team at the moment with Selwyn Cobbo.
I agree. He is a game breaker, but it's the defense that I'd have to go with. I think I would pair up Murray and Val, and I'd back in that combo.
Okay. So let's assume that, because he has had games where he has defended really well. Like he's played really good Origin games too. Who are you more scared of in attack? Coates, Cobbo, or Taulagi? As a Blues fan.
In attack, I'm most scared of Selwyn Cobbo. He's got the big breakout plays and he's such a strong runner, tackle buster. He can do freakish things 100%, but there's 2 parts to this game.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm the same. Yeah.
Yep.
Selwyn, he worries me the most. He can do things the other that Murray can't, but if I'm picking a Queensland team, I go with the safer, more consistent guy there.
Okay, Hammy, what are we thinking, mate?
I've gone Control-C, Control-V. I've gone Coates and Taulagi in there.
Okay.
Coates has been unbelievable this year, and even games he didn't score against the Tigers on the weekend, but spoke about him on yesterday's show. All the other stuff that he's got in his game as well, he's got big game-breaking moments in him as well.
For sure. I think Taulagi does as well. I think it's just...
For sure.
Yeah.
Who stands out at the moment? Yeah. But I think Coates, he's the no-brainer. Got to be in there. Taulagi slips under the radar, but his last couple of weeks in particular have been very, very solid. Gets to all the dirty, hard yakka as well. So I've gone with him. Less errors in his game as well. Probably gets him in there over Selwyn.
I go back to Taulagi a few years ago in Origin where he just made a bunch of try-saving tackles, a bunch of Origin moments. For me, it was a pretty easy one, Coates and Taulagi. Yeah,
boys, I'm with you. I think if you could actually make the argument Taulagi, even though we all have Coates as a lock, you could argue Taulagi's played the best in Origin out of all of them.
For me, Taulagi is actually more of a lock. He's my first winger pick for Queensland.
He's got a lot of, and they're very different body shapes, but he's got a lot of Matt Singh to me. He always sort of gets underappreciated.
So
but
big.
You just know he's always going to do a job. I just feel like he's never going to let you down, whereas I feel like Cobbo, he could let you guys down.
He could win you it or he could lose it.
100% he could, yeah.
I think as well with Taulagi, as I said, he's probably had a better Origin career so far than Coates. Coates has been good. I think he's going to hit his straps. But I think Taulagi, he has had so many big moments. And they're all like because the game has these crazy, it might be a Selwyn Cobbo grubber and chase and score and try. Taulagi will have one where he'll put the ball in, where most wingers would have dropped it. But because there's another bigger moment, we forget about the Taulagi moment. But he's done that he had in the was it last year or the year before?
2023.
He had 3 try savers in the first game. Like, it's just
You know
unbelievable.
what, it shocks me. He's only played 6 Origins, and I just had a look, and I thought it was going to be more. That's how many moments that I remember him having. He's only played 6 games.
Yeah, wow. How many has Coates played then? About 6, 7?
Give it a sec.
I think to your point as well, mate, like in Origin, I don't want my winger to win me or lose me the game.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I need.
The funny thing, I guess that a little bit of pushback. Like Billy Slater is kind of that guy, though. He's a bit of a cowboy like that.
He is, yeah,
where he'll
he
just
is.
go, fuck, let's do it. I mean, that's why, Kalen Ponga was killing it, and then he selects Reece Walsh. No, there was other stuff going on. So, yeah.
To that point, though,
10 Origins.
10 Origins, right.
to that point, though, if my fullback's going to win it, lose it for me, I can get around that.
Yep.
My
Not a winner.
nah.
Okay. Let's get into the centres now. I think Hammer is just a lock. Like, mate, there's only ever been one person that's been able to go toe-to-toe with Tommy Turbo in Origin, and it's been Hammer. He also had a pretty good night against Critter in Game 1 last year as well. Like, Hammer in most occasions has won his Origin of battle. Not every single occasion, but most occasions, and that's very rare. I'd assume him and Critter will be on that side, with Trell playing left. So it'll be Critter versus Hammer.
Well, I would have Val at left centre personally, which means he'll be marking Critter.
Okay.
We'll have Hammer in my side, I would have Hammer marking Latrell.
And you know what else? In attack, I kind of like that. You get Hammer speed one-on-one with Latrell.
Yep. Yeah, it goes both ways.
I'm having a crack at that.
Yeah. And also, I want my best defensive centre, which is Hammer over Holmes on their weapon, which is, then saying that, like, Critter is such a friggin' weapon.
I'm creating
as
a
well.
lot of shape around just getting Hammer one-on-one with Latrell and going.
I
Try
think
and
it's
go
something that a lot of fans will sort of go, oh, Latrell's too big for Hammer, but I reckon the one that'd be scared in that matchup is Latrell.
Friggin' oath.
With the speed things.
Yeah.
When he has the ball, though, that's going to be interesting because he is so big. Yeah, okay. Hammer on one edge. Okay, now the other centre is, I think, the tough one. Me personally, although Vala's been really good in attack, getting a little bit concerned about his defence, especially in Origin, because you've got to make all your reads right. Now, the problem with Val is like sometimes he'll roll into Origin and he'll just go, boop, and he'll sort everything out in one night. So I'm leaning towards Val, but honestly, if Howarth was fully fit and he was making himself available for Queensland, I actually may go Howarth at centre, but I would love to hear your guys' thoughts.
I go with Val Holmes at centre, and we'll get to 18th man shortly.
Goal kicking helps a lot, obviously, with Val too.
Goal kicking helps, yep. I'd be bringing Purdue into the squad, and I'd be making sure Val Holmes is aware that Purdue's in the squad.
Timmy?
Val Holmes, absolutely. Even if Jack Howarth was available. Defence hasn't been what it was a few years ago. He has his moments, but he's still just an absolute star. He's fully fit, which is such a big factor. He's got speed, he's got strength, he can read a game, he comes up with big moments, he's a great goal kicker. I think by going anyone outside of him, you're just getting too tricky. Like, a few cracks in his game, absolutely, but he's still a star centre in our game, and I'd be picking him for sure.
Question for you boys. Take names out of it, and you just looked at the way they'd both played this year. Who's been better, Purdue or Holmes?
Probably Purdue, especially probably in the last 5 or 6 weeks, if you're asking it like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm still Val.
Because you got to remember, Queensland are coming off a loss series.
100%
So,
Val.
like, you could argue you didn't play as well as you
And
would.
that's why I'd be making the point to Val.
Yeah.
It's perform or we look to another kid, which I'm not afraid to do.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm Val every day of the week.
No, but as in who's been playing better without the names?
Pretty similar. Both had a lot of attacking moments without the names, maybe narrowly Purdue.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Hammy? What are you going?
Well, without the names, Purdue's been better, but I'm probably with Rue, but we'll get to that a little bit later. My centres, bearing in mind I had Hammer at fullback.
Yep.
I went with Holmes in there. I had Gagai in there. Now,
Okay, bringing him back.
Some people go, too far past his best, but he's always done a good job. Particularly, it's usually him and Latrell kind of, battling it out. And I think he's the one guy who kind of, has been able to kind of not handle him, but, put up at least some sort of, decent contest against him. He's also, whenever he puts the maroon jersey on, just grows an extra leg. We've seen it a couple of times. He's had a couple of man of the match performances, but those were the two that I had in there. Could easily live with Hammer in the centres, and I know that Hammer's great there.
Yep.
I think we probably all, as a consensus, probably landed that KP will be the fullback, even though I don't think he's demanded selection. I can see him getting the best out of him. So I've probably been talked around to the Holmes and Hammer, but I did have Gagai in there initially.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going, as I said, I'm going Holmes and Hammer, but Holmes, the defence needs to be sorted. If he comes out in game one and he's flying in and missing tackles and whatever, I mean, that's when I go, okay, there's guys like Robert Toya, Purdue, waiting in the wings where, yes, are they as noted as Holmes? Are they as got the history that Holmes does in the Queensland jersey? No, they don't, but we came off a series loss. Holmes is a little bit old now. He's still only 30, so he's got freaking ages to go. And Robert Toya and Purdue have been pretty good. I'd have Purdue in front of Toya. But they are some options. And then obviously Howarth. I think Howarth might be available for game 2 or 3.
You listed back around 13, so it should be Origin too.
So I'm going Holmes first, though. If Howarth was fully fit going into this, it'd be a strong consideration for Howarth over Holmes and potentially moving Holmes to the wing. Because there are times where I feel like Holmes is a better winger than centre. Mm-hmm. And so
I just don't think he's better than those wingers we've got in there.
Yeah. He actually has played better at wing for Queensland than both Coates and Taulagi as well at times in his career. But that's not the case. So, as I said, I'm going Val at centre. I'm going Hammer at centre as well. Alrighty. Now, time for 6 and 7. 6 and 7. Okay, I think just move past this really quickly. I think we all just go DC Munster.
Yep.
Been there, done it. Been there for ages. There was a little bit of pressure, but Dearden hasn't played 7 at club, so I don't understand why he would just go straight in at 7.
No.
It's Munster, DC.
Yep.
Okay, now on to number 9, Harry Grant, if he's fully fit.
Yep.
Yes.
Looking like he will be. So it's like,
Absolutely.
if he's not, I mean, we don't need to go. He's going to be fit.
Yeah, if he's close to fit, I'll pick him.
Yeah, I'll be picking him. Okay, now it starts to get really tough from here on out. Edge, back. No, we'll go front row, sorry.
Yeah.
My front row is Tino and Paddy.
Yep, same.
I've gone for Tino and Cotter in my front row.
It's tough just working out who to play 13, right? But I've got Cotter and Carrigan.
Okay. Cotter and Tino 13.
Tino 13. But I'm really keen to hear your thoughts because I
got the same as you.
I didn't have a strong lean. Any one of them can play 13. You probably lean more towards Carrigan or Tino just for probably a bit more ball playing than Cotter, but take your pick.
See, I reckon Harry Grant is really good at being that link man when they do throw off long shifts. And I just think Cotter at 13, just that leg speed I really like. And I just like the big boppers up front, Paddy and Tino. And I understand the argument, look, does it matter whether Cotter is 8, 10 or 13?
I don't think
I don't know if it does or not. I just like Cotter's leg speed though. Like there's something about him being in that 13 jersey of just, getting... And I want to find a way to get Tino and Paddy in the starting side. And look, maybe you do put Paddy at 13. I just don't want Tino or Paddy even thinking about ball playing. In Origin, I just want them going fucking straight north to south to south to north. Do not even think about it. Whereas Cotter, if he needs to think about it here or there, I'm okay with it. Granted, I understand his ball playing is probably not as good as Paddy. I'd say his ball playing I think it's as good as Tino's, if I'm being honest. And the reason why I've got Paddy and Tino up front is I don't even want them thinking about that. I just want them thinking being as aggressive as they can possibly be. Don't think about ball playing, and also don't worry about having to play like long minutes. Just go as hard as you can for that.
The only rebuttal I'll have to that, mate, is I think you're probably just scrape by at the moment, okay, but I think you're quite light on middles this year, and I think you need Carrigan and Tino to play big minutes. And if you do have one of the ball playing lock, I'm with you. Like in a perfect world, you say don't worry about ball playing, just focus on running hard and being aggressive. But I think these two need to play big minutes for you, and maybe being that sort of ball playing 13. You still pin the ears and run hard and go straight and all that, but maybe it's an opportunity to play bigger minutes and take a bit of the workload off them. But, I mean, we'll get to the bench on that soon, but I just think you're a little light on through the middle.
See, I reckon I'd be playing about 50, 60 minutes, I reckon. I wouldn't be going much
Don't
more
need to be
than
more,
that.
no.
Yeah.
Like,
when I say big minutes, I mean they usually play like so long into
mental.
the clubs. Like, for example, on the weekend, Paddy did a 60-minute stint straight up.
Yeah, I don't think you can afford to have either of them less than 60 minutes.
No, I don't think so either. I think that's an advantage of having Tino and Paddy in your front row is that you can afford to have a smaller bench because you can get guys that play long minutes. So, yeah, when I say long minutes, I mean I don't want them playing like 65, 70 minutes. And also it's just a worrying about ball playing. I just think sometimes it makes a bit clunky when you've got a guy that sometimes he's a front rower, sometimes he's a ball player. Like it just makes it a little bit clunky. But look, to be honest, when you really break it all down, like they're all so similar in what they can offer. That's just like,
Doesn't change much.
Does it really change that much? I think the only thing would change is like, do you start with Horsburgh at 13 instead of Cotter?
Am I the only one with Carrigan at 13? Is that
Yeah.
at the moment? Yeah. Look, we had this conversation in the preseason. I was a little bit higher on Carrigan, staying at 13 for the Broncos. I think as a link man, he's much better than Tino. I think Tino is sort of forced to play that role at the Titans a little bit because he has to put on 1,000 hats. And I think Cotter, to your argument, I think Cotter's the guy. Just go north and south. That's
I'm with
what
you.
I want the different body shapes to be going like that. I think Carrigan is I think he's got potential to be one of the best Origin players we've seen. He just ticks every single box for me. And I think the more ball that he can get through the middle, Carrigan, and just pick his moments, whether he runs or, dishes on, I think it's the best way to go. So I'd have Carrigan at 13.
Yeah. See, the reason why I like, as I said, Paddy is like, I actually think him just going north or south in Origin, like he's more damaging than Cotter is at times. And so like I'm willing to sacrifice Cotter's north or south if he ball plays a little bit. Sometimes, as I said, just watching Paddy at the club when he does play that, kind of dual role, sometimes he does decide to pass too much, and I think you're losing so much with his... Because when he plays Origin, he doesn't usually actually pass that much. He's just up and he just gets through his work. In saying that, I think you're right though, mate. I think we're splitting hairs, to be honest.
It's much of a muchness.
It's fucking... Yeah. It is what... Like, who's to say that Paddy can't just go, for the next 10 minutes I'm hitting up, and then after that I'll be the 13 for
and
the
put
next
it this
few sets.
way, whether it's Paddy carrying 13 or Tino playing 13 v prop, their minutes aren't going to change.
No, I don't think so. As I said, I don't want either Tino or Paddy having their running game being taken away because they're worried about the ball playing, because they're just such big mobile units that, especially Tino, like for sure. Like Tino for me, even at club, I say it every single week, I wish he would just fucking, don't even worry about passing. Just run as hard and straight as you can. But I think we're splitting. Especially with Paddy, I think specifically with Paddy, if he's 13 or 8, like he's still going to do his job.
I think Carrigan's at an age and at a maturity now where I just back him to make the right
back him
decision.
make
I just
the
feel
right
like
call.
he's made for Origin. I wish he was a New South Welshman. I would take him in an
yeah.
absolute heartbeat.
Absolutely. Just quickly though, Cotter v Corey Horsburgh starting at 13. I tell you what, if you start Horsburgh at 13, that's a fucking big, powerful front row.
Yeah, I reckon we're going to need him off the bench to add a bit of punch there. To Timmy's point around, maybe being a little bit, a bit of a dearth of big bodies.
Could Cotter be good off the bench with his speed, do you think?
Could be, but I don't know. I don't mind. To Guru's point about the body shapes, you've got two big boppers and then Cotter out there to start with. I think Corey's just a nice breath of fresh air, a bit of chaos off the bench when he comes on. Yeah.
Is there a world with a Tino, Corey Horsburgh, Paddy, where they just absolutely dominate that battle for the first 20 and it's hard to kind of catch that back?
Hey, could, mate.
It could, yeah.
I don't know. Given the Blues bench.
Mate, the one thing that excites me about this Blues bench is that I've got a couple of lunatics sitting there that are going to play 30 minutes and go nuts. I want Horsburgh there to fight fire with fire.
When we're bringing Lenu on and all these, that Terrell May and that, I'm with you, Hammy. I reckon you want Big Red, Corey Horsburgh coming on and doing the same, and some tiring patch. He's got really good footwork. He moves well for a big fella, Corey. He's got a great offload, and he can break the game open with a good offload there or something at the line. Yeah.
Not to say that Cotter couldn't handle that job, but I just think Horsburgh fits it a little.
And
bit
I can see Horsburgh setting up a try in the 70th minute.
Yeah.
So that's why I like him on the bench.
Yeah. Horsburgh's on my bench. It's just more conversation, boys.
Yep.
But, okay, so that's the front row. This is the toughest one. Fuck me, this was hard to nail down who my edge back rowers were. At the moment, my edge back rowers are Gilbert and Fermor.
I'm the same.
So
I'm the same.
Fuck, that's crazy.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Good. Here we go.
Nah, not me.
Who and who?
No, I've got Jai Arrow
Okay.
as one of them, and Bo Fermor is the other one. Tom Gilbert for me. There's been a couple of games this year. There's a game he missed 10 tackles. Another game he missed 5 or 6. I know not all missed tackles are equal, but I think
I know. I totally see what you're saying. Just for me though, he's just an Origin player. Like I got confidence that he'll just go in Origin and play well. But I know when you look at it statistically, it fucking's not a good read.
Yeah, when we need, potentially we need a couple more dogs in there. He definitely is one of those. I think Jai Arrow is a bit of a lunatic. Can play obviously in the middle and
I just don't know about Arrow on the edge though. That's the tough one.
I would prefer to have him in. I just think given the lack of kind of options there. I've got Arrow and I've got Fermor. And I had an honourable mention there to Jaden Sewer, who could go in one of those spots as well. But Fermor, I think for a few years, has probably banged the door down to get a crack at Origin. That's where I kind of...
Congratulations to Bo Fermor on his bloke Maroons Origin debut.
Boys, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I've got Arrow in my side. but I lean towards you. I think Gilbert's just an Origin player. He's another guy that I wish we had available to select for us. I just think he'll do a job for him. So being him on the edge, and you know what, 6 weeks ago, I probably wouldn't have considered that, but just seeing him doing it for the Dolphins and whatnot, he can handle that role. The other option is to play Cotter out there, which I think is actually a very good chance because Billy's done it on a few occasions. I prefer Gilbert though.
I didn't realize how much of a psycho Gilbert was until he debuted for the Maroons, and I was like, "Whoa, this guy!" He's only played 2 games, but geez, he went. I think he went toe to toe with. I think it was Hudson. Man, it was that was the moment for me. When like, all right, this guy's going to be here for a long, long time. Just back to Jairo. I reckon he's perfect for the bench just because he's such a hybrid role. Like he can play. I think he's a middle, but he can also play edge to a T as well. So. Yeah, Arrow's in my team, but yeah, Gilbert, he's just a psycho.
One test I sometimes do is like, could I imagine them in a 1995 Queensland jersey? Gilbert, I could. And I know that's a stupid thing to do, but
that's
like,
not a bad
like
litmus test.
And I just go, then that makes me go, okay, he's a Queenslander. And I know it's a silly thing, but
To be fair, on that note, I can see Jai Arrow messing it with the best of them in 95.
yeah,
as well,
for sure, he could absolutely.
which is why he's
Could.
in my side, but yeah.
Okay.
So no Sewer?
Sewer's been good this year, but I just worry. Like last year, he had an opportunity.
Yep.
And he struggled a little bit. Quite a few unforced errors, and you just can't have that in Origin. He's a bloody good player, and if there's an injury and he gets another opportunity, I have some doubt because that's why I didn't pick him. But I feel like if he got another opportunity, there's a good chance he could come in and go well. But I felt like last year was his chance to lock that spot down, and unfortunately didn't go too well.
Firmer on the left or the right?
Mate, I'm letting actually Fermor select where he wants to go because he's the only out-and-out edge back rower that I've got in my starting side. Like Gilbert plays 13, front row, edge sometimes.
I'm probably letting Gilbert decide because I think Fermor can play both edges at a huge click. So I'm like, Gilbert's the one who I believe is moving out of position. So I'll be like, mate, what are you most comfortable with? What edge?
Yeah, I see with Gilbert, he's there for defence for me. Whereas Fermor is an attacking weapon, and I don't want to lose that by just going, okay, go to your side that's not as strong in attack.
Probably want Gilbert up against Crichton then. So he'd be on the...
Potentially.
right.
Again, if Fermor, I just don't want to lose Fermor's attacking prowess.
Fermor's been on the left.
I like Fermor on the left.
Yeah.
I like Gilbert on the Latrell side. I'd put him with Amiso out there. That was what I would
Go
do.
after him.
So Fermor left, Gilbert
Firmer
right.
left, Gilbert right would be my play.
And was Gilbert, when he did his shoulder, he was on the right, wasn't he? Pretty sure.
So
Yeah. Okay, now it's time for the bench, boys. It's time for the bench. 14, I think. Oh, actually, no, I don't know if this is all, but 14, I've got Dearden.
didn't for me.
I do, but I didn't. I had Max Plath. If Max Plath was available, he'd be my 14 and Tom Dearden would not be in my team. But it sounds like Plath probably won't be available for Origin 1. But if Plath can get himself right, which he should by Origin 2, he's my 14. But as it stands, he's not available, so I'll go Dearden.
Dearden for me.
Dearden?
Got to have him in there.
How do we get him on, boys?
This is the exact reason why I'm happy not to have him there. Not that it'll happen, but
I wish Ben Hunt didn't get injured. I reckon. I know he's been not great, but for me, you got to have spark and coverage. And I'm picking Dearden, but who else is there?
You give him 10 minutes either side of half time for at hooker?
I also would have put Ben Hunt, if he was available, until he got injured on the weekend as well, for the same reason as Matty. Dearden to me, and I know the argument will be, they've done it with DC in the past and Cronk in the past, and having this essentially a halfback come off the bench as the utility. Tommy Dearden to me, he's a number 6, or he can play 7 obviously, but you've got Harry Grant there who's coming off I believe it's a hamstring injury, whatever it is, coming back from injury, so there's going to be big question marks around whether he goes 80 in Origin. So then you go, all right, you're putting Dearden in to give him a break at number 9. I don't love that. I think there's possibly better options. Do you put Ruben Cotter there to give Harry Grant a spell? If you're doing that, I don't think you need Tom Dearden there. So does he just come on and distribute at 9?
I like him at 9. I think Dearden could do a job at 9. I
Has he
really
ever done
do.
it?
I don't know. I just back him to do it. I just think he's got the ticker in him to go, you know what? He's a good defender, arguably one of the best 6 defenders in the competition. He's got ticker about him. His service from dummy half, I think, could be fine. Good service. I back him in to be able to handle that. And look, if you move Cotter to there, you can throw him in at 13 as that link man. I think you're doing a right job at link man, but that actually throws off my other bench position that I know you guys are going to disagree with, but we'll get to that. But Dearden for me, how to get him on, it would be 10 minutes either side of half time.
Yeah, and it might sound stupid or whatever, but with Dearden, I don't go in with a specific plan for him. I think you just let the game dictate how I used him. I agree. I think you could handle dummy half. I think you could handle as a link man. I think if it just gets to a point where need a bit of spark, I just put him on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you, mate.
He's another one of these guys.
Origin.
He just looks like an Origin player to me.
I'm on the fly a bit here, but I know it's bloke you love, and I bet you've picked him. Kurt Mann.
Yeah.
Is that him?
Yeah. So
You know what?
Kurt Mann's
You know
my
what?
15.
Dearden's gone. I'd pick Kurt Mann as my 14. He covers Harry Grant at 9. You put him on through the middle as a 13. I don't think you need Tom Dearden. Kurt Mann can play six if need be. If one of your halves goes down.
See, I just think Kurt Mann is out now just a good enough forward to be on my bench. So, right now for me, he's just a forward. But he also can cover. Sorry, what you say, Timmy?
No, all good, mate. All good.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I personally thought Dearden was your best in a losing Origin series last year.
I'm actually arguing for both. So Dearden 14, Mann 15.
I think you're too short in the middles to do that personally. If you did that, I'd be stoked. So sorry, just explaining again. What's your role for Tom Dearden? As I just said, I don't exactly have a role for him. I just want to see how the game plays out.
I think
he's one of those dudes that he can wear many hats and he's just tough as nails. He'll be quick through the ruck. He can be a link man. He can be whatever you need him to be. And if it ends up being that there's a forward in the outside, the injury in the outside backs, which is what I love about having Bo Fermor there. He's the guy you can shift out, and then you can have if I had said to Dearden, "Hey, I need you to play 16 minutes at 13," he doesn't blink for me. He just goes straight in and just does it.
I've got one for you guys. What if you put Kurt Mann at lock? You shifted Cotter to second row, which he's done plenty of times in Origin, and that way you can have Dearden on the bench, and then you can have 3 true forwards.
Well, I'll just tell you what my bench is at the moment, and it is a smaller bench because I just don't think we have the size to just go with the New South Wales side. So how do we beat that? It's with speed through the ruck. Like who's Terrell May and Spencer Leniu going to struggle with in defence? It's going to be a Kurt Mann just quick through the ruck. It's going to be a Cotter, his footwork through the ruck. It's going to be a Nanai with his footwork. Whereas the worry I have, if we try to out-blues the Blues, we don't have the cattle for that. We just don't. They're bigger, more aggressive, and that's the style. And so my bench right now is Dearden, Mann, Horsburgh, and either Nanai/Arrow, most likely Nanai. Then my 18th man is either Capewell or Arrow, which is a very different, I'm assuming, to your guys' bench.
Yeah, so my bench, I've got Tommy Dearden at 14, then I've got Jai Arrow and Coy Horsburgh, and then I had Plath, but with him out, I would go Nanai there.
Do you think Plath is much different to Mann?
No, I just think Plath is going to be more of an Origin player.
Okay. I had Plath initially, but he's obviously injured, so...
Yeah. I don't think Kurt Mann's a bad pick by any means. I don't want to leave Dearden out.
If anyone can convince me of the role of Tom Dearden, they can tell me straight, this is how we do it and this is how we be effective, I'll change my mind. But until I get that,
mine is 10 minutes either side of half time. If there's nothing else goes wrong, it's 10 minutes either side of half time at 9.
Yeah,
That's what I'd be doing.
I think Queens there for some reason has a bit of a history of making that kind of work. Cooper Cronk did it for a long time. Daly Cherry Evans did it for a long time. For some reason, he's having a genuine half at 14. Ben Hunt obviously has turned into a bit more of a hooker later in his career. But 10 minutes either side of half time, I think just the way that you'd run with him. And he'd get out there and make a bit of stuff happen, and you wouldn't miss a beat in defence from him.
I was going to say just quickly, you reckon Dearden can't turn into the player Benny Hunt was? I reckon he's got that potential.
I'm basing it on the fact that I've never seen Tom Dearden play 9. I don't know if he's ever played 9. Maybe he has.
Well, Benny Hunt, for example, he barely played any 9. Earlier in his career, I think he played a little bit.
And maybe Tom Dearden can.
Yeah.
And, if he's played 9 in the past and I don't know about it, or they bring him in and they train him there, it's such a specialist role. And you say 20 minutes, but 20 minutes at number 9 in Origin, it's a tough thing. He's also, by middle forward standards, if that's where he's going to play for 20 minutes, he's a smaller body, and he's got, if he comes on 10 minutes either side of half time, he's contending with Terrell May coming at him and Spencer Leniu, and it's a very different role.
Yeah, I'd actually say he's as big as Connor Watson.
Yeah, but Connor Watson's played 9. If you can play 9, sure. I just haven't seen it yet.
I actually reckon there's a serious argument that you could start Carrigan and Tino, put Mann at 13, and then put Cotter at second row. I reckon that shores it up so much more, and that's a way of getting both of them in the side. I don't know how I feel about having both Mann and Dearden on the bench. Yeah, I've changed my mind a little bit.
I think the biggest one we're sleeping on is Cotter on the edge. I think there's every chance Billy Slater will do that.
Yeah, I got
there's
no
every
issue.
chance
Yeah.
he doesn't name it, but an hour before the game, Cotter's on the edge. all of a
Yeah, I
sudden.
mean, I got no issue with it. Got no issue with it.
Yeah, and like for the record, I think Billy's done it in the past. He probably
Yep.
will, and I also think Billy will go Tom Dearden at 14. But like this is our team, and it's not what I do.
So what's your bench?
I have now Man, Arrow, Nanai, and Horsburgh, and then I've got Dearden 18th.
Hammy?
I've got Dearden, Nanite, Smoke billowing out of the bloke studio. You haven't elected a new pope, but I've got a Smokey. Bullymore from
Okay.
Manly. Just for, he's kind of like a specialist kind of bench role. Not as much, mongrel and dog, maybe some of the Blues guys, but I feel like he does a really good role there for Manly. And then Horsburgh.
Okay.
That's mine. I've got Arrow in the starting side, so
Okay.
that's why he's not on there.
Just quickly in regards to the, because your concern with Dearden and Man is the size off the bench. It will be most likely a fast track up at Suncorp. Does that sway at all?
Yeah, you did make a very good argument there for going that, you are probably correct. You're not going to be able to compete with the big forward pack there. But I don't know. I just think that our boys, they're big, but they're just fit as fiddle. They're all agile. I kind of think you do have to try and match it with them with a Jair or a Corey Horsburgh.
Campy, I don't see why you need Dearden if you're going to have Man, because if you're bringing Dearden on to play that 20 minutes at 9, you've got Kurt Mann, who's played plenty of 9 in his career, can come on and play as a middle forward and spend extra minutes there. I don't think you need both.
I think
Halves coverage,
what's
of
getting
course, but-
confused in your mind is I see Man as a forward.
Yeah.
So I don't care about
Yeah,
his
okay,
coverage.
that's
It's
right.
good that he has a coverage. It's
Yeah.
great, but he's a forward for me. So like he's earned his spot on the bench as a bloody good forward. It's great that he has coverage, but I'm not looking at him going, I want him to play 9 and all that kind of stuff. I'm looking at him, he will be brought on in the forward rotation kind of thing.
And then Dearden gives you better halves coverage should anything happen amongst
Better
them,
halves
basically.
coverage, and also he can play 10 minutes either. Like
Yep.
Dearden is Ben Hunt. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And then Kurt Mann is a 13/lock kind of player for me. And so that's where when you bring, let's say, Cotter off for a spell, if he's playing 13, you can put Kurt Mann straight into there. Horsburgh can come on in the forward pack in the front row for Tino or Paddy. And then Nanai or Arrow or Capewell or whoever you want to put, the Trentley Oro, they can cover your edges but also be through the middle as well. That's what I know it's a bit of a smaller bench, but as I said, I think that I just don't know how you're going to go. Like, will Arrow, Nanai and Horsburgh, will they be able to go toe-to-toe with May, Spencer and Young
What I will say
in
is,
their battle?
What I will say is Billy probably will pick like a Gilbert or a Cotter type on the edge defensively for that first 25, 30 minutes, the dogfight. That's when Jeremiah Nanai comes on to a tiring defence on the edge. Probably plays 50 minutes there anyway.
Yeah.
And he'll be a target for the Blues. He'll be the number one target for the Blues. But, hopefully the sting's taken out of the game, and that's when Nanai comes on. So when that happens, Tom Gilbert or Cotter, whoever that is, they go back into that middle rotation.
Yep. No, you could also just take them off.
Yeah, you could.
You just take them off. And yeah, that's just my thought process. I'm not trying to fight. I'm not trying to meet May, Spencer Lenu, and Young in the middle there. I don't think they win that battle. Like if you're going toe to toe with them in a like a heavy contact, big boy, aggressive battle, I just like Arrow's not a big boy.
And that's where like a Kurt Mann comes in great, right? Coming off the bench in the middle because he's so fit. He's got line speed. He'll get up and he'll meet these boys, and he won't give them a chance to wind up as much as say a bigger bodied middle would.
Yep.
So I think it can work.
Yeah, that's just my thought process. But obviously that's my team. But we do have to finish this bench. So what are we doing? I think the consensus is you're not having Dearden in your team, but I think vote wise we've got Dearden at 14.
I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Fine with it.
Yeah, Dearden's in my team.
Yeah.
Vote wise, Dearden at 14.
Yep.
Who's our number 15? We'll just put Corey Horsburgh because we've all agreed on him
Yeah,
already.
Horsburgh has to be one.
Yep.
Nanai.
I think we all agree Nanai has to be on that bench.
Yes.
And so it's that last spot, 17 jersey, that we've got a
Arrow?
few different people.
For me, it's Arrow.
You've got Arrow. You've got Arrow.
I had him starting, so I'm happy
So
with
you've got Arrow.
Arrow.
You've got Arrow.
Did
So
you have
it's
him?
Arrow.
Was he in your team? Sorry.
No, he wasn't in my team actually. Initially, it was Dearden, Man, Horsburgh, Nanai, but it was / Arrow. Like he could be in the
I'll
conversation.
tell you what with Jair, he probably wasn't in my team last week. Fuck, I thought he took it to South Sydney on the weekend. He pretty much picked himself in my team last
okay.
weekend, I thought.
I mean, hypothetical. Geez, I wish Helam Lukey was fit.
Yeah, he's bloody.
God, I wish he was good from round one and come on 80 minutes on the edge. Oh, anyway.
And this is a bit of a smoky, but he actually nearly made my starting side. Is Capewell. I think he's had an outstanding year.
Yeah, it's been good.
I think he's been outstanding. I think, you can look at the stats or whatever, but you actually watch him play. He's actually my 18th man at the moment.
If
just because he
both
covers something.
Fermor hadn't gone nuts, I think Capewell's there, but they offer similar value in that second row forward centre coverage sort of role.
Yep. Who's your 18th man then, boys?
I got Kurt Mann.
Kurt Mann?
And I got Purdue as my in the
19.
squad as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got Purdue as my 18th man.
Purdue 18 man?
Didn't.
Dearden 18th man?
I'd probably go Kurt Mann.
Okay, so with Dearden being selected at 14, do we all just agree Kurt Mann at 18 then? Is that like the consensus
think
of
it's
probably
fair.
what we would go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that is our Queensland side. So it is at fullback, it's KP. On the wings, it's Coates, Taulagi. Then in the centres, it's Holmes, Hammer. 6 and 7, Munster, DCE. Up front, we'll just go Tino, Cotter, but we'll put Carrigan at 13. Is that the consensus?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah?
A combination of that.
Whatever that is.
won't
But,
matter.
but
No
we've
one's
got
The
a
really-
middle forwards
yeah.
are Cottertino, Carrigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's married to who's 13.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but we have when we put the list out, it's got to have someone at 13. We'll
Go
put
Carrigan.
Carrigan at 13.
I'd have Tino, but sure, go
Why?
Carrigan.
Tino at 13.
Yeah.
I'd tell you 13.
I'd go Carrigan.
I'd go
cop
Carrigan.
at 13.
Carrigan
Sweet.
at 13 over Tino. Tino's a front row for me. Okay, then on the edges we've got Gilbert and Beau Fermor.
Yep.
And then on the bench it's Dearden at 14, it's Horsburgh 15, Nanai 16, and Arrow 17 with Kurt Mann at 18th man.
Sweet.
There you go. That is the selection table. Done and dusted, powered by Menulog. I can't wait to get in this feed. We'll have to bloody reheat the thing.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get in this feed, guys. Powered by Menulog. Also, powered by Sportsbet. Just a reminder on some of the bets we forgot. I knew we'd forget. That's why I said do it at the start.
Yeah. No, that's okay. We've got. Should we do it? Just pick
Just some
our winner
Yep.
and a player of the match. I'll just double check
For what?
game one. So Queensland $1.97, New South Wales $1.87, and then I'll just get the
Up
other-
at Suncorp, yeah?
Up at Suncorp. Yep. Let's go.
I'm going Queensland to win.
Yep.
And my man of the match will be Patrick Carrigan.
That'll get you $15, Pat Carrigan.
I'm going to go Blues win. I'm going to go Latrell man of the match.
$26, Latrell. Don't hate that.
For man of the match.
Yep.
Jeez, that's good.
$26.
This is the all-in. Obviously, teams haven't been named yet,
that's
so
true.
right
Yeah.
now,
Blues Cleary.
Blues clear.
Oh my God, bro.
I didn't even know we were picking
Cleary,
anybody
$6.
bets.
Oh
The game's in
my
2.5
God.
weeks.
Jesus
Matty?
Christ.
I will go Blues into Painthurst.
Cleary might not get picked.
That makes it even worse than that you pick Cleary and man of the match if he doesn't
I
get
didn't
picked.
know we were putting punts on, did I?
You missed a memo.
Oh,
I think you might need to change your address because the memos are just going to the wrong address each time.
Paying us $15. I'm going to go
Hardy ho ho ho.
Queensland Munster. Munster
Queensland
$10.
Munster. That's nearly as bad as Cleary.
$4 better. So there we go.
Timmy, have you done? Matty, you done yours? Or?
I did Painthurst.
Yep.
Painthurst.
$15.
Okay.
$15.
All right. Massive thank you as always to Sportsbet, our partners. We really appreciate it. Huge partners and friends of the show. Grab some grumpy coffee, join the bloke club, grab a bloke jersey, all that good stuff. It supports the show, helps us put these things on. These things cost money, and so supporting the show helps that happen. As usual, we'll all go fuck ourselves. Thank you.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.